Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Well, hello everybody. All zero of you watching. Since there's nobody to shout out right now, I'm going to go ahead and bring my guest on the stream here, Largo. What's happening there, Largo?
Another fun-filled day in the weird, fantastic world, my friend.
I understand. As I was talking to you earlier, I'm kind of tired, but I decided I'd come on and do the open mic like I normally do. If anybody's out there that wants to hop in, just let me know, and just go on up there and hit that StreamYard link up there and come on in. I don't think there's anybody watching. It says there's two of us here, so I'm not actually watching the stream myself. So you're one of the two, I guess.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm on this. Yep.
So what all have you been picking up? You got any new loot this week, Largo?
Everything is on its way because I have to go through a third-party shipping. I've got several things that I'm anticipating, but they're in Miami on their way to Guatemala City. But I did get notification today that my Action Force stuff is in transit. It made it to Miami. Now it's coming along. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, I've got my Ancient Order of Men t-shirt and hat coming.
Okay, cool.
And
I got a t-shirt and a hat from him when I won the very first drawing that he did. Hey, Pope.
Cool.
Pope just showed up in the house. He says, "Two weird, fantastic toy hunters. How are you?" We're doing
good
just
to see
fine,
you, Pope.
Good to see you, man. Glad you showed up. You know that pinned comment up there at the top there, Pope. It says StreamYard link. Yeah, that's open, man. Come on, use it. Anyway, I got some stuff on my pile of loot over there at the at old Big Bad Toy Store, and I'm waiting for it to fill up before I actually have it sent. I got on the old eBay the other day and did naughty, and I got a surprise coming for everybody. So when it finally gets here, I'll show it off. I'm hoping that it's going to be in pretty good shape. What I'm buying, I'm having to buy a couple of different things in order to complete something.
I almost pulled the trigger on a couple of those new Mego 50th anniversary superheroes, but it's like
the ones that are in the retro box that looks like
Yes.
the old box from back in the day. I've seen pictures of those on the internet, but I haven't seen any of those in the wild.
Yeah, those were some of my favorites as a kid, but I'm like, do I really want those now?
Well, here's the thing, Largo. The sculpts and the body types on those are new Mego types. They're not the old figures. There's a toy company called Figures Toy Company. Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, yeah.
They have the old Mego molds. They re-released all of that stuff several years ago. And it looks exactly like the old Mego stuff. They even re-released some of the play sets like the Bat Cave, that was made out of that cardboard that was covered in the vinyl.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, though. It's a rabbit hole. It's like, I'll just get one or two, and then I'm trying to search the whole line and pick up everything, and it's like, I don't have room for that.
Pope's asking me if I've ever found anything really cool at a yard sale. I've never gotten lucky at a yard sale like some people do, but I've had more luck finding neat stuff at estate sales and not just a yard sale. Most of the time, when you have a yard sale, at least around here, it's a lot of clothes. And if there are
Oh
any
yeah.
toys, it's stuff that a kid has already played with to the point where it's almost you don't want it. But the really good stuff that you'll find at estate sales, because that's basically when someone passes away, the family will come in and they'll pretty much open the house up and they'll just let people come in and you get to dig through their stuff. That's where you find, like if there's a collector involved, that's where you'll find their collection. And that's where you'll
Hmm.
find the good stuff at. So I would
Yep. When
suggest,
I was, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I would suggest looking at estate sales. Now, today's world is not what yesterday's world was. They used to advertise estate sales in the newspaper, and they'd say this Saturday estate sale, and they put the address, such and such
Hmm.
avenue, such and such city, such and such time. And then what you want to try to do is you want to try to get in there about the time that they open the doors before everybody else is going in there and pick through the loot. You know what I'm saying? But that's the way it was. Now, what was you going to say, Largo?
Oh, I was just gonna say when I was in the service, I was stationed out in California,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a couple yard sales, like you say. Mostly these days, it's clothes and broken bric-a-brac, but there were some secondhand stores there
Mm-hmm.
that like I guess you call it like an antique mall where they'd have a bunch of little kiosks and people would kind of have their wares.
Yeah,
I did
I know
find some
exactly.
cool vintage stuff in there that was
You know
gently
they
used.
well, they have a couple of those up there in Memphis. I forget what the name of that place was. Something Treasures,
Hmm.
and it's in a huge building. It looks like
Yeah.
like it used to be a storefront mall.
Hmm. In the
And
Smokies up in Gatlinburg, they have something similar to that. It's like a giant flea market they have every Saturday, and they'll have
mm,
vendors come in, and you can
that's
find
pretty
just
much
about
what this
anything.
is. When you go in there, what the guy's done, he's gutted all the walls between the stores,
Hmm.
so the whole thing is his. And you come in, and they got a counter up front, and then you walk past that, and then it's like going into to Wonderland, and it's like a
Yeah.
maze in there. And there's booths of different sizes. I mean, I guess depending upon how much the folks want to pay him rent for, and they put their shit in there and they set it up however they want. So it's like you just walk around in there and you go from booth to booth to booth, and the booths are filled up with all kinds of stuff. And there was all kinds of toys in some of them, and then some of them have got, the bric-a-brac, and some of them
Oh
have
yeah.
got, weird stuff, but and clothes, and all that. But there were a lot of toys though, and some of that stuff was ancient, old stuff.
Yeah, I found some real interesting stuff I couldn't even identify from the probably from the late 50s, early 60s. A lot of
Hmm.
space toys, the like the robots that
Oh
walk
yeah,
and
that,
things
that
like
that
that.
stuff was really, really, really popular.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever noticed my icon over here on the side. I call him X-Ray Boy.
Yeah.
He is actually from an Ideal toy ad, and it was for a remote controlled robot. And I don't even know if I've got that picture. I might have that picture here somewhere on the computer. Let me see if I can find it. The entire
Sure.
picture has got him with the remote control in his hand and the robot.
Cool.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah,
anywhere.
I
Pictures.
kind of got in on the tail end of that stuff. I was born in 71, so most of the toys I remember that were 60s were
Yes.
kind of hand me down stuff, Joe's, the big 12-inch Joe's, and then the fuzzy head adventure guys came on when I was a little younger. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember there was one toy I inherited from someone, probably one of my cousins. It was Major Matt Mason. I
Major
don't know if you
Matt
remember him.
Mason was a very popular toy at one time. As a matter
So
of
it was a
fact,
few.
I think that that he was part of the revival where they had Quasar, Major Matt Mason, and Big
Oh
Jim,
yeah.
and they were going to make, I guess, 6-inch figures out of them and release them. I don't know if that ever actually happened or not.
Yeah, it was kind of a disappointment. It was for one of the toy fairs this year, I think earlier this year. And what they did is they just took like the Secret Wars size Mattel figures that were just 5 POA and just slap some paint on them
Right.
and make them look like, Quasar and Big Jim. But they weren't real good. I was kind of disappointed. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That is
that's
cool.
actually that's actually I think ideal. No,
Hmm.
Remco. That's a Remco
Remco.
robot. Yeah, that's a Remco. That's a Remco robot, and the child there with the remote in his hand playing with the robot is from an ad for that particular robot. So that's where my
Yeah, that stuff
icon
is
comes
neat.
from. And Pope says,
Yeah,
"I
I'm
love
I'm a
GA."
sucker for those. Yep. Yeah, the old wind up robots and the ones with the lights and sounds and stuff.
I,
I've always
I
been a
I
sucker for
I
that.
remember as a kid, I actually had one of those old windy up tin robots, but I can't
I never
remember
had
what.
any of the nice tin ones, but I had some plastic ones where like the chest would open and a laser gun would pop out and stuff like that. They'd walk on their own for a minute.
I
Um,
wish I could
there's
tell
a
you the answer to that, Pope, but I really don't know if you could buy that shit he had on his head with that robot or not. But I imagine that either Remco or somebody was selling something similar to that, or they wouldn't have put it in the ad. But yeah, uh, I just find that whole picture is just fascinating to me. What is that? What is it? Those goggles on his eyes? I mean, what is that? And that helmet that he's wearing, and it's got a little spaceship sitting on top of it. And it's all pretty cool. But a lot of people look at that picture and they don't notice all that shit. And no offense to Adam, I mean he did a wonderful job with the animation that he did for the intro for me. But he was going to make the goggles spin, but he forgot something. What you see on his face is the shadow from the goggles, but the shadow stayed still while the goggles were spinning. So I'm like, okay, that kind of spoils it for me. But you know,
Yep.
Robo Vision, yeah, I don't know, but it's an ancient ad, and I just ran across it one day years and years ago, and I liked the icon of the little boy with the I call them X-ray goggles on his eyes, and he just got this expression on his face of wonder, and that
I remember those ads in the comic books where you could buy novelty stuff and X-ray
you know
glasses.
that that brings up an excellent thing. It's something we can talk about today because I think I know exactly where that book is. I've got a book that I'm going to tout on here, and I'm going to show pictures out of it. It's something that would interest you greatly since you bring that up.
Please do.
Hold on a second.
That would be cool.
I got to get to a tub of stuff here.
Yeah, I got a chuckle out of Adam's uh, stream the other night when he was showing off pictures from toy catalogs from yesteryear.
Oh yeah, I was watching that. At least I
Those are
watched some
fun.
of it anyway.
Yeah, it brings
What,
back fond memories of getting
what you
like
looking
the
for?
Montgomery Ward or Sears catalog or Wish book and going through it.
Oh, I remember doing that as a kid. I used to love to do stuff like that. All right, here we go.
Cool.
Mail order mysteries.
Even comes with a pair of X-ray specs. That's a
Well,
bonus.
that's just on the cover. I actually have a pair of the
Oh,
real deal X-ray specs over there somewhere. Originally, they came with plastic frames. You can
hmm
still buy these. As a matter of fact, guess what company makes X-ray specs? I'm talking the real ones. I'm not talking about the knockoffs that are called X-ray gogs. X-ray specs. Guess what company makes these?
I'd guess Remco if they're still around.
Uh-uh.
No,
This is gonna blow your mind, buddy. The Transscience Corporation makes X-ray specs. What does Transscience Corporation also make?
Let me think about that. It
They were
sounds familiar.
founded by a man, he's dead now, by the name of Harold von Braunhut, the father of sea monkeys.
There you go.
So the X-ray specs are made by the same man, or created by the same man who did sea monkeys, and they still sell them to this very day. Although the frames are made out of cardboard now,
Oh,
and
that's no good.
they're actually made in Memphis, Tennessee.
Huh. That is cool.
But anyway, yeah, this guy is named Kirk Demarica, Demarius. I can't pronounce that.
Let's see. Yeah, Demarius, I believe.
Okay. He actually has a website, or at least he did used to have a website called the Secret Fun Blog. And if you ever find that site, it's neat. And he had a website too, but I think he took the website down and it's just the blog. But what he's done in here, of course, the inside the book you can see the comic ads. He actually shows you what you got when you ordered this stuff.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of stuff I never ordered, but you look at it and you just wonder, what would you really get?
He's actually got, I think it's a YouTube video that you got to see. And of course, right now I don't know where that's at, but anyway, what he does is basically he shows you the comic ad, and he shows you what you got when you ordered it.
Oh, okay, that's really cool.
And he even talks about it's like it says, "We imagined." That's one title here, and it says glasses that enabled you to see real skeletons and nudity. They sent eyewear stuffed with bird feathers. Really? See, that's what you don't know. Inside the X-ray specs was a feather. So when you look through the little holes on there was a feather behind that hole. Now the new ones don't have that. The new ones are even better than that. They work a lot better than looking through a bird feather. Hey, Radical Toys, good to see you, man. But when you look through a bird feather, it splits your vision, so that everything that you see is doubled. And I don't know if you can see the hand right here.
Right, I got it. Right there.
So when you hold it up to a light and you look through that bird feather, it makes a double image of your hand. So and of course you shadow it out with the light. So with that double image of your hand, basically what you're seeing is a small shadow with a lighter shadow on the outside of it, so it looks like you're looking at the bones inside your hand.
Well, that's a neat trick.
Optical illusion, yeah.
Right.
So look what he says here. Genuine feathers, which are embedded between the cardboard layers of the lenses. The feathers' veins diffract light, creating the appearance of two offset images. A darker area forms where the images overlap, which can be interpreted as the bones in your hand or the curves of the body of a lady.
Woohoo. Hubba hubba.
Behind
when I was a kid, there was it was a little Chinese restaurant, and for whatever reason, up at the front counter where you'd go to pay the cashier, they had a glass case, and he had all those kind of little novelty things that you'd find in those comic book ads and some magic tricks. And I remember one of the first things I bought was some gum it was gag gum, and you chew it, and it was like cayenne pepper.
Oh, so yeah. That stuff was made by a company called Adams.
Oh, yeah. Like the old blackjack.
SS Adams company. They also made cheap magic tricks too.
And the other one I got was a trick that made it look like your fingers were smoking. You'd put this ointment on your fingers, and then you'd pull them apart.
Mm-hmm.
So
I had some of that. That never worked right for me.
No.
Says behind the mystery, X-ray specs came about in 1964 when Harold von Braunhut, the mastermind behind Sea Monkeys, repackaged an optical effect made popular by a device called the Wonder Tube. The specs were so successful they spawned various iterations. customer satisfaction. He puns here. Not exactly what we expected, but we're
Hmm.
all excited as the quintessential mail order novelty. And he
That's
also shows some of the knockoff glasses that they did. Can you see?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the ads were better than the product for sure,
I'm getting
especially
some
some of the
latency.
pictures and stuff.
I'm getting some latency issues here on my end with my cam, so I might be freezing up a little bit, but I think my voice sounds just fine.
Yeah, your audio's still good, but your picture is getting stuck a bit. Adam
Yeah,
mentioned he picked up a Origins Fisto. That's
yeah,
cool.
I saw that. I saw that. Let's see.
That's
I'll just start thumbing through this book, and if you hear anything that appeals to you, just shout out.
all righty.
The Hypno coin. Do you remember the Hypno coin being sold in the back of comics?
I remember the ad, but I don't remember the gimmick.
It wasn't much. They sent a pamphlet first produced in the 1920s in a plastic disc with a lenticular surface that makes the spiral design rotate. The instructions outline techniques that have been seen in old movies and TV shows for decades. However, they prove to be less successful when applied to people who aren't paid actors. Well, my phone just said poopy poop poop.
I like the cat.
Yeah, that's I think that's part of let's see here. Now, all right, let's try this.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, I'm back. Uh, my camera said poop. I don't know what that was about. That was my phone, basically. I'm using an iPhone 6S.
Maybe your battery needs some charging or
Well, it's wired in. I've got it
oh.
wired up to the computer here, so it should be getting better. Ventriloquist dummies. I remember these. These are cheap as crap.
Yep.
The Ventrilo voice thrower. You're supposed to put this in your mouth and throw your voice, but that's not how it works. It's more like a bird call. Play guitar in 7 days. 2 books, a chord finder, and a pocket tuning device. Mm-hmm.
Do they have any of the what was his name? I can't remember the bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I want to say not
Well,
Charles Atlas.
Yeah, well, that's quintessential. But what they do have is they have
Ooh.
the deadly Dante, who teaches you the dance of dead fighting
Oh yeah.
can be yours.
Yeah, Kung Fu was all the rage in the
Deadly
early 70s.
fighter. They sent book.
Bill, your audio's cutting out. I think maybe you're having some technical difficulties there
the
too.
Techniques are certainly deadly. Oh, here I go. Yeah. My internet now it just
Yeah, it's awful glitchy. I can see you're trying to talk, but the sound is not catching up with you. I can't hear you at all now, Bill. Okay. Well, while he's trying to get that figured out, I'll see what we got going on here in the chat. It's just Pope and Adam with us right now. So please be patient, folks, while Bill tries to do his magic on his interwebs, because you know how that goes. I'm just about there myself. I've got some bubble gum and baling wire keeping my stuff together, so I understand how that goes.
all right.
Here he
I'm
comes.
back now, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, Manic Plastic. Good to see you there, Michael Purvis. Oh, anyway, where was I? Oh, the
Uh,
techniques are certainly deadly, but it's no secret that forcing your thumbs into a guy's eye sockets or shattering his spine could be fatal. Some of the illustrations tend to rob the book of its sophistication. However, the ferocity throughout does make the publication more engaging than the standard martial arts manual. I can tell you for a fact that if you bought this and you thought that it was going to turn you into the world's deadliest man, you were going to get your ass beat on the playground.
I bet.
Secrets of Black Art, Hercules wristband. I remember the Hercules wristband. We all wanted the
Oh yeah.
Hercules wristband.
Yep. Those are still popular for especially guys that ride motorcycles because they're actually helpful for your wrist with the vibrations.
This is what
There
you're
he
talking
is.
about right here. Yeah, the Charles
Are you
Atlas.
tired of those bullies kicking sand in your face? Then you better call old Chuck.
Yeah,
Chuck
become
Atlas.
the hero of the beach. I actually sent off and got the Charles Atlas course. And you know what? It's not bad. If you
Yeah.
follow it, it will actually, it's dynamic tension. It works. It'll actually build muscle. However, if you want to be the world's most perfect man, like Charles Atlas, I think you got to lift the heavy thing and put it down. You can't just use dynamic tension.
That's true. I do that about 12 ounces at a time.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of these muscle man ads in here. Jiu-jitsu, a superior leverage force. Oh, and kryptonite rocks. I remember these.
I had one of those. I didn't get it through a mail order. I actually bought it in a store. I
But
can't remember where I got it, but it's probably at a truck stop or something. But I
what they
remember
did, they took a rock, they painted it green, and then they painted it with phosphorescence paint, and that's all it was.
Yep.
But this book is over 150 pages long, and it covers some of the most iconic ads from back in the day. And I got it because I'm into this kind of stuff. So I think that it's still available on Amazon.com if you guys are ever interested in this kind of weirdo stuff, which I certainly am.
Yeah,
but,
I'll have to check that out.
I got that one Christmas for myself, but it's certainly worth looking at. So let's see what all's going on in the chat. All our radical moms in the house. Hi, Bill and chat. Hey, and I slept 2 hours in my stream. I streamed tonight. Okay, I think he's still asleep. So he slept 2 hours and he's going to be streaming tonight. So yeah, if y'all get a chance, check out Radical Toys stream tonight on his channel. I think he's going to be looking at some of the Masters of the WWE wrestling figures.
Cool. Yeah, Adam, I'm not sure what Hammer Shapiro commercials were. That doesn't ring a bell. Maybe if I saw it, I'd remember. Do you remember those, Bill? Or was that maybe a Canadian thing?
Maybe a Canadian thing. That may be a Canadian thing. Hammer Shapiro. I don't know. The only Shapiro I know of is Ben Shapiro. Not really a big fan of his, but yes, that's the only Shapiro that I'm aware of.
He's an excellent orator. I'll give him that.
Now, our just like Sean Hannity, I remember when Sean Hannity was a local DJ in Huntsville, Alabama.
No kidding.
Yeah. Back then, I guess it was the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. That's when Rush Limbaugh became popular. So every radio show had their own local mouth, just like Rush, that would come on in the afternoons and be and spout all the same. It pretty much be a kind of a Rush Limbaugh clone. Well, that's what Sean Hannity was on in Huntsville, Alabama, on their local conservative radio station.
Yeah, where I was in when I was living in North Carolina, I remember a lot of the AM stations. They were real big into Art Bell knockoffs. Everybody wanted to have their own show about Bigfoot and aliens and who knows what.
Okay, it was a lawyer. It was a lawyer commercial. I tried to start that Epoch cam again. I'm not going to be able to run two cams today. I don't know why. But okay, I'm going to tell you all the secret to the lawyer commercials. All right. And I don't know. I'm sure that it's not pertinent to you there in Guatemala, but up here in the States, if you turn on the television in whatever market that you're in, there's somebody that says they're the heavy hitter. And then there's another one that says one call, that's all. All of those ads are the damn same. They just changed the lawyer's name in them.
Oh, I've seen the type. I know what he's talking about now. It's like, have you been injured in an accident? Have you gotten compensation? I can help. And this guy in a,
and I always
fancy
imagine the pictures from Mad Magazine where you have the ambulance going down the road, and behind it you have the lawyer with the briefcase in one hand, holding his hat in the other, running behind the ambulance.
Yep.
But yeah, all of those lawyers, I think they all have the same ad agency, and the ad agency makes the same ad for all of them. The only difference is the lawyer's face in the ad.
Pretty much. Well, it's like Grandpappy used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if it works, it works.
Hit by truck, call Chuck.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those out there. But did you ever use those Hercules type armbands when you were riding? Do they help with the vibrations on the handlebars? No.
No,
they look cool though.
They do look cool. I think one of my brothers used to make those damn wristbands, and he wore them sometimes, but I never knew what they were for, to be honest with you. And Radical Mom says, "You got that right, Bill. It's all the same." She's talking about them lawyer ads. Yeah, it's the same ad. I'm sure it's the same damn ad agency for all of them. They just subscribe to it. And they just cook up an ad with them and stick them in it, and it's the same ad because it's kind of like the old wrestling territories.
Mm-hmm.
You had Mid-South Wrestling, which was down south, and they were on television in Greenville, Mississippi, and in Louisiana, and all that. Then you had Jerry Jarrett's territory up here, which I think was called CWA, Championship Wrestling Alliance, or whatever. But they were basically the same thing, but different. I don't know how to explain that, because you had all right. So I'll give you a good example. This is an old story, and it's funny to me. All right, you remember a wrestler called the Junkyard Dog? Well, of course you do.
Yeah.
He was in WWE, right? Well, the Junkyard Dog started on Mid-South Wrestling. That was Bill Watts' company down there in the southern United States, down around Louisiana. I think they actually showed it on Greenville's television station, Channel 6 here in Mississippi. But anyway, all right, so the Junkyard Dog lost a loser leave town match. So he had to leave town. Well, the next week, a new wrestler showed up. He was under a mask, and nobody knew who he was. And this is the name of this shtick is called Charlie Brown from Out of Town. But anyway, he shows up in a mask, and nobody knows who he is. And his name is Stagger Lee. And they play the old tune Stagger Lee as his entrance music. And Stagger Lee, for some reason, looks exactly like Junkyard Dog, except for the mask. But he's not Junkyard Dog. You can't prove he's Junkyard Dog because he's got a mask on.
That's right.
And this whole shtick played out for several weeks and until the blow-off. Well, Jerry Jarrett up there in Memphis, Tennessee, saw the same thing. So there was a wrestler by the name of Coco Ware up there in Memphis, Tennessee, who was part of Jimmy Hart's first family. Everybody may know Coco Ware as the Birdman, right?
That sounds familiar.
Right. Coco Ware did make it to the WWE as the Birdman. But Coco Ware got his start as a villainous wrestler, wrestling with Jimmy Hart as part of Jimmy Hart's first family. Well, one of the shticks that would always happen was a wrestler would wrestle with Jimmy Hart and be a bad guy for a while until Jimmy Hart finally turned on him. When Jimmy Hart turned on him, then it would be the heel face turn.
Mm-hmm.
Now the heel has become the good guy. Well, Coco Ware, when he was wrestling with Jimmy Hart's first family, was wrestling under the name of Sweet Brown Sugar. And
Oh, these names.
yeah, Sweet Brown Sugar lost a few of his matches and became, instead of an asset to the first family, he became a detriment to the first family as a result. So Jimmy Hart came out and threatened to throw him out of the first family. But he said he wouldn't throw him out of the first family if Coco Ware would shine his shoes. And he had pulled his shoes out of his shoebox and told Coco Ware. Now, of course, this was all done on television in the 1970s, and it was
Right.
meant to get a reaction. It was meant to make you angry, okay?
Sure.
So if you get angry when I tell you what Jimmy Hart said, Jimmy Hart wins because that's exactly what he wanted to happen. He said, boy, get down there on the floor and shine my shoes if you want to stay in the first family. Well, of course, this didn't sit too well with Sweet Brown Sugar, and so he quit the first family and went back to using his name, Coco Ware, which probably wasn't really his name, but anyway.
The guys in the chat are saying they know him as Coco Beware.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, they changed their name slightly as they moved territories, but anyway, Coco Ware then became a good guy wrestler, and he would lose a few and he would win a few, but he finally lost one of those infamous loser leave town matches. Well, it's the same Charlie Brown from out of town, but they didn't even change the name. Next week, Stagger Lee shows up. And he looks just like Coco Ware, but it's not Coco Ware because he's wearing a mask, and you can't prove it's Coco Ware because he's wearing a mask. I don't care if he's got the same body type as Coco Ware. I don't care if he's the same height as Coco Ware. I don't even care if his jawline looks just like Coco Ware. That's Stagger Lee, damn it. And they didn't even change the name of Charlie Brown's name. They named him Stagger Lee just like they did with Junkyard Dog down there in Mid-South Wrestling. They just copied it all together, copied it.
It was good entertainment. I used to go and visit my my dad's mom, my grandmother, my nana, as we call them, and she's a sweet little old lady. Just wouldn't hurt a fly, you wouldn't think. But you put wrestling on the TV, don't sit on the couch next to grandma because she will get anxious. And then if she sees something going on and they're putting somebody in a headlock, she'll put you in a headlock. I learned real quick, don't sit next to grandma when she's watching wrestling. She gets animated.
Bill, is your sea monkey still kicking? No, I don't have any live sea monkeys going right now. The last tank I had, I kept it a lot. Most of that stuff is what I have documented here on this YouTube channel, as a matter of fact. Yeah, the last tank I had one sea monkey in it, and then when it finally died, I washed all the sea monkey tanks and just put them on the shelf. And I haven't done that in, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years now. Time tends to slip by quickly when you get to be my age. You're only a year.
Now those were,
so you know what
were
I mean.
they? Yeah, they were brine shrimp. Is that?
Yeah, they were brine shrimp. Now, supposedly, Harold von Braunhut had crossbred the brine shrimp to create a more hardy variety. Mm-hmm. And this I can say is true because you get the real deal sea monkeys. They do live a lot longer than standard brine shrimp. You can buy brine shrimp down at the fish food store.
Sure.
And you can hatch them out. Most people hatch them out in the tank with their saltwater fish and let the fish eat them. Mm-hmm. But they don't live for very long. But sea monkeys will. The Artemia nios, named for the National Oceanic something Institute or whatever. But anyway, yeah, they do tend to live longer. Now, how do I know this? Well, I'll tell you another story. You guys
tell us a story, Bill.
Let's hear my sea monkey story. This is true too. There was a shyster up in Tennessee. I can't remember what his name was, but he had a company called Big Time Toys. They're still around, I think, and they bought a lot of trademark toys like Moon shoes. Do you remember Moon shoes?
Were those ones had springs on the bottom?
Yeah,
kind of.
Exactly what I'm talking. All right, and started selling those. Well, he contacted Harold von Braunhut's widow, and
to get the secret formula for the monkeys.
What he wanted to do, he wanted to do like Educational Toys did a few years earlier, and license the name and produce his own tanks from her design, from the design, the Ocean Zoo tanks, and sell the sea monkey packets in there. Now, whenever they would do that, the deal always was that TransScience provides all of the sea monkey egg packets, food packets, water purifier packets, the whole pack, the basic kit,
Sure.
and you get the rights to make the tanks and sell the kit inside the tank for whatever you want to sell it for. That's what the license says.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he broadly interpreted that, and he might have taken advantage of her. And I documented a lot of this in my blog back while it was happening, and tried to take the trademark away from her.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was bad. She had to go to court. She
That's
had to
dirty.
go to court and win that back. And I don't know how much money that got spent in that. All right.
Hmm.
And I know for a fact that she lives in a nice house up there in Maryland, but she doesn't have a whole lot of money. Most of her
Right.
money is from selling this mail order stuff. And I don't know that
Mhm.
Harold left her all that rich either. You know how show people live.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he tried to take the trademark away from her. And one of the things that he started doing that was really, really shady was he stopped buying the sea monkey eggs from her and stopped buying the secret formula, basically. And he started
Sure.
having them made in China using
Hmm.
regular brine shrimp. And then people started going nuts because
Because
they had this lifetime guarantee in there that if your sea monkeys die, all you have to do is send off to TransScience Corporation and they'll replace your sea monkey packets for free. Well, all of a sudden, see, he's not replacing those sea monkey packets at that point. She is. You see what I'm saying?
oh yeah, I'm seeing where this is going. Not
Yeah.
anything good.
No, nothing good happened out of that. And that's what brought all of this to light was the fact that what he was selling in his kits were counterfeit sea monkey packets. So he didn't have to buy the sea monkey packets from her. But when the regular brine shrimp weren't living as long as they should be, she was the one having to replace all of that out of her stock for free.
Mm. Yeah,
And
that's not cool.
Eli Clark says that is shady. It is. And there's it's documented all over the internet if you know where to look for it. And like I said, it's on my blog from back in the day when it actually happened. But it was pretty bad. But she actually won that case, got the company away from him, got Big Time Toys out of her life, and restarted the whole brand, restarted a new website and everything. And they started reselling the toys a few years ago. So
Well,
it's
good for her. I'm
it
glad she
worked
won.
out. I don't know how much money got spent in the interim on that. I really don't know.
That
But
does bring up a good point, Bill. It's like, these little novelty things that you see, we call them rack toys when you go in and you see the little things in the convenience store or whatnot. I wonder, I mean, it's pennies on the dollar, I'm sure, to make them. I wonder how profitable those things really are because they wouldn't make them if they didn't make some money.
they're pretty
But
profitable. They're pretty profitable. Most of that stuff. All right, and I'm looking at this from a Carney standpoint of view. Carnival toys. Have you ever gone to
Mhm.
the carnival and you see
Sure.
the stand over there and the guy it's some kind of shtick. I'll guess your age and weight or something like that, or
Right.
it's
That's
can
where
you
the
can
old
you
Cupid dolls came from.
yeah, can you
I remember.
toss the ring over the bottle and all that kind of stuff? And some of those games are shady, some of them are not. But you'll see all of this plush. That's what they
Hmm.
call it, plush. It's stuffed animals, teddy bears, and all that kind of stuff all around. And it's the cheapest shit that you can imagine it's made out of. The stuffing inside of the teddy bears is made out of that uh, little balls of styrofoam.
Like
You
you
know,
put in a beanbag kind of stuff.
yeah, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
It's real cheap, which means that so the vendor or the shopkeeper is what they call them. The shopkeeper buys this plush for, like you said, a few cents, and the game costs what back in the day a quarter to play. I guess it's $1 now. I don't know. So if you played the game, you've already gave him enough money to buy the plush that he's got on display.
Yeah, but the trick is they always want to catch you when you're trying to show off to your girl that you brought to the fair.
Oh yeah. Well, see, a lot of those games are fixed, so
Mm-hmm.
you cannot win, or you can if you know the secret, but nobody knows the secret.
Right.
I actually know someone who used to run those for a living and would tell us that they were rigged. Yeah, some of them are rigged. Some of them are rigged where you can't win. That's called a flat store. If the guy's running
Mm-hmm.
a flat store, that means that nobody wins, or only those that he lets wins. Flat
Yeah.
stores are illegal. Okay, if they,
Well,
if,
I think how they get around that is they'll have a ringer. They'll have a guy that knows the trick who'll
oh
come up
yeah,
and be a
they do
customer
that.
and
They do that
play.
too. They do that too. But if they
Yeah.
get caught running a flat store at a carnival, that flat store can be shut down by the sheriff, and it happens occasionally. Now, if it's a legitimate game of chance, that's not a flat store.
Right.
But
Yeah, those
as
are
we
interesting.
by going to the casinos, the odds are not in your favor; they're in the house's favor.
Yep, that's the way they do it. But
Yeah,
they
and
usually do have a good buffet as a consolation.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know a little about casinos living here in Mississippi. We have a few over there. Uh,
Now, do you
the
have the riverboat type where they have them on the water? We had that we had that in Louisiana.
All right, here's the secret. All right, Mississippi, it must be a floating vessel.
Aha.
Okay, so this is how they make a floating vessel. They dig a big pit and fill it up with water, and they float barges inside the pit, and they build a casino on top of the barges. Now it's a floating vessel. From the road,
That's a
you can't
great
tell that
loophole,
it's a floating vessel. It looks like a building,
but it's technically on the water.
technically floating in the water.
Yeah. Down in Louisiana, they actually have a real boat on the water where, they don't
Yeah,
try to
and
get around it.
We had one called the President that was an actual riverboat, and it was decked out to look like a steamboat from back in the day. That it did all right, but it's not there anymore. A lot of those
Mm.
original casinos, I think the first one was called the Splash. It's gone, but I think Sam's Town's still over there. Yeah, that's why you couldn't win a teddy bear, Radical Mom. It was
Yep.
fixed. And do you guys still have carnival exhibition parks in the state? Of course, we have carnivals, my friend, and they still come around. Uh, Most of the bigger ones, though, do the midways for the state fairs, like the Mid South Fair and right outside of Memphis, or the Delta Fair. That's also, I think, a competitor to the Mid South Fair. And of course, each state has their own state fair, and
Yep.
these big.
We have carnies here in Guatemala too, which was kind of interesting. When COVID hit, all those carnies got shut down,
Yeah.
obviously, because you couldn't have crowds coming in. So they ended up having to winter in the they have an empty lot where they usually set up once or
Mhm.
twice a year. They were stuck there, and so a lot
Yeah.
of them they ended up panhandling. So you'd go to a stoplight, and there'd be somebody coming out on a unicycle doing some juggling because they needed spare change. They weren't making any money.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how they got through the
Well,
rough spot.
there used to be a traveling circus called the Kelly Miller Circus, and I've seen it 3 times. And it's a one ring circus, very small one ring circus. It's under a big top, but it's a small big top,
Hmm.
and it's not a train that they travel in. They travel in a caravan, which means that it's basically trucks pulling RVs behind them, recreational vehicles, a caravan. And most of the workers in the Kelly Miller Circus were Latinos, and I'm not sure whether they were from Mexico or whether they're from further down South America, but they were all Latinos.
Well, Ian's favorite is the Flying Graysons, which I'm rather fond of myself.
Yes, I remember the Flying Graysons. I don't know what happened to the boy Dick after the parents got killed. He just disappeared.
It's a tragic story. I
Yeah.
think he became a ward of someone. I don't remember.
I think it was a millionaire, one of those Playboy millionaires. I guess adopted him as his ward. To get some what do they call it, social points or whatever.
That's it. I actually heard, not to be political, but they were saying someone was trying to get Batman canceled because he's a rich white guy. He's got white privilege. You can't have a hero with white privilege. I'm like,
Yeah, I
come
saw
on,
that.
man. He's been around since the
No,
late 1930s,
the
early
problem,
40s.
the problem is we well know, and it's coming to light now that Elon Musk has gotten a hold of Twitter. But
Oh
the
yeah,
big companies like Walt Disney, for instance, thought that everybody on Twitter were real people.
I'd say maybe what 1 in 10. The rest are bots.
That and crazies, okay, because
Well,
the people that they thought that they were appeasing on Twitter were not their fans and were not watching their movies. It's pretty obvious when you find these movies tanking
yes, sir.
in the movie theater as badly as they have been. I mean, and now Bob Chapek has been shouldered with the blame for that. So they got rid of him and they brought Bob Iger back. But what people don't understand was everything that Chapek was doing was instigated by Iger in the first place.
Well, yeah, Chapek was trying to minimize costs and trying to fix
He
some of the
inherited
problems.
all of these movies that are coming out now.
Oh,
All
they're
of this stuff that's
stinkers.
coming out where it was in development 3 to 5 years ago, back when Iger
Hmm.
was the president. Chapek inherited all of this. All this
Yep.
junk that Marvel's doing, Wakandia Forever, and all that junk.
Yeah, all of Phase
She-Hulk,
4 has been a
BBC,
big
all that
disappointment.
Phase 4 stuff, that was in development years before it actually came out on television and in the movies. Now,
Yep.
I will
We
say this. There have been a couple of shining lights in amongst all this darkness. One of them was the Halloween special, Werewolf by Night, which was very, very good. I suggest you watch it if you have not. The other one just came out recently, and that's the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Have you seen that?
No, sir. I do like the Werewolf by Night. I'm a sucker for those black and white horror kind of films, so they did a good homage there. I like the way they did that.
Well, let me put it this way. If you like the old Christmas specials, like the Bing Crosby Christmas special, which were basically little variety shows with a
Sure.
small kind of underlying plot in it, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
All right,
Right.
that this is that. Okay, this is a 70s holiday special. The
Cool.
Star Wars holiday special is a good example of that, where you have a little bit of singing and music involved, and there's a kind of a plot as well, a little storyline, that kind of silly storyline going along with it.
Yeah,
The
just to
Guardian,
answer Adam in the chat real quick, I'm not old enough to remember Flintstone cigarette commercials. I have seen them. I've seen them
oh yeah, I've
in
seen them too. The cigarette commercials were already off the air when Largo and I were growing up.
yeah,
I
that
vaguely, I think I might vaguely remember the Marlboro Man, but I was just 3 or 4 years old, maybe.
yeah, I don't remember the Marlboro Man on television, but I do remember the billboards for him.
Well, he died of cancer, probably lung
Yeah.
cancer. The trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is out. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I heard that it was out. Ian
I
Sweeney
haven't seen
said,
that. I did watch the one for Indiana Jones, and I am really not impressed, to be honest.
well, if you watch Overlord DVD's channel, you'll find out all you need to know about that. And I think he's got the inside scoop on that, Largo. Say
He
what
has been right on a lot of films so
Yeah.
far.
Say what you will about Dictor Van Dooncock. He knows what he's talking about. Okay, just
Yes,
saying.
sir. Well, he's
Uh,
like us. He likes the classic heroes, and he hates that they've just been doing some lousy scripts and trying to, you know, kill off all the good guys. It seems like, or at least make them into idiots.
well, yeah. And if you watch Peter Lorre dancing in film silk stockings, there are some things that should never happen. And Radical Mom likes old black and white films. And
I tell you, one
folks
of
like
my favorite Christmas specials is it was a Bing Crosby. It was one of those where he was having a dinner party and he'd answer the door and some celebrity would come in, and he did a sit down piano duet with David Bowie of all people.
oh wow,
And it was cool. I can't
yeah.
remember which song they sang, but both of them sat down at the piano, and it was just, it was like they'd known each other forever, just like two old fellas, just, shooting the breeze and talking about songs. I like that kind of stuff.
Well, if you like that kind of stuff, I think that you need to check out on Disney Plus. It's available right now. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, and there are a lot of Easter eggs in there for upcoming Marvel stuff. Possibly even with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's got all of the cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy in it, and basically what the plot line is that what's Batista's character's name in that, whatever his name is.
Oh, went right out of my head.
Yeah, it slips my mind. But anyway, Batista and Mantis, the little girl with the antennas on her head, have heard what
Right.
happened
Drax.
to Peter when he was a little boy being raised with the Ravagers, and how what's his name ruined Christmas for him that one year when he tried to have Christmas on the spaceship, and so she wants to make a very special Christmas for him,
For Peter.
for Peter. So what they decide to do is they decide to come to Earth and kidnap his favorite hero, Kevin Bacon, and give him to Peter as a Christmas present.
That's awesome. Let me guess. Groot grows himself into a Christmas tree.
I will not say any further on this, but Groot has grown into not a grown up, but a teenager in this one. So he looks more like a man in a suit now, and it probably is a man in the suit in this. But Groot is there, Rocket is there, Kevin Bacon is there, as well as the rest of the cast of characters. And apparently, the Guardians of the Galaxy have purchased Nowhere from the Collector. So that is now their base of operations, just like it was in the comic books. Yeah. And Peter is now the administrator of Nowhere, so he has a lot of duties that he has to perform to keep Nowhere running. And Cosmo the Space Dog is the head of security, and she features very heavily.
That is cool. I don't know about you, but I was kind of, I mean, I like, I can't remember the actor's name now, the guy that plays Peter Quill.
Well, nobody likes him, man. Peter Pratt. You're supposed to hate him, okay? He's supposed to be canceled. You can't cancel
when I saw him,
he's just a nice guy. That's the thing. Yeah. Why is it that they just want to cancel the nice people? Gina Carano was a nice girl and a sweet girl. I wouldn't want to get in a fight with her. Everybody loved her that played in the show with her and acted with her. Said that she was just a sweet, nice person. But no, these bots on Twitter hate people like that.
Yeah, you can't have an opinion that's opposite of the group think without somebody.
Chris Pratt. Thank you very much, Ian. Ian, if you want to come on the show, there's a pinned StreamYard link up there. Just hit it, and you can use your phone or whatever in your browser, and you can be on the show with us. And us old men who can't remember names, you can come in here and keep us straight, dude.
That's it. More the merrier. I suffer from what do we call it? Not Alzheimer's, but sometimers. Sometimes I can remember, and sometimes I can't.
Yeah, I got that too, real bad.
But, well, that's why you have Paula. It's like, what was the name of that?
She's working tonight. See, when we got up this morning, we both leave at the house at the same time, about 5 a.m. in the morning. And I asked her pointedly, I said, "Do you have to work tonight too?" And she said, "No, I don't think I do." Well, guess what happened? I'm at work, and I get a text from her. She goes, "I got to work tonight."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, "Dadgummit, can't win for
nothing
losing."
Worse than planning to have a night off and they call you in anyway.
I don't know if Grindhead Jim is anywhere nearby listening in, lurking. But
I mentioned to him you'd be on tonight. Now he said he might try to drop in, but A matter of fact, speaking of Grindhead and sea monkeys, I don't think he took me seriously. But when he was touting the Kraken, I was like, if you could do like some little baby Kraken, kind of an homage to the sea monkey, but not quite, that would be kind of cool. I kind of figure the Kraken should have some little underlings to go with him. He just kind of rolled his eyes, but we got our laser sharks, so I'm not giving up.
Yeah,
on some
don't
baby Kraken.
overplay our hand there, Largo. Ian Sweeney says when Bill Burr says you're a sweetheart, that's as cool a recommendation as you will ever need, and I agree.
That's true.
But no, the reason I'm bringing up Grindhead Jim was my wife lost her ever freaking mind yesterday while I was at work. She was off and here alone by herself. She came down here into the junk room and she began pulling boxes down and pulling shit out of boxes and consolidating shit in boxes and putting things in tubs. And when I got home, there was a stack of cardboard in the kitchen going from the top of the kitchen table almost all the way to the ceiling. And I'm like, oh my God, what did you do? And then I had to help her sort through some of the stuff that she had pulled out. But there was some cool stuff in there, by the way. I found my still in the box Black Series Return of the Jedi Boba Fett in there. So
cool.
But anyway,
yeah, I think
there's stuff.
We're all kind of in that boat.
I haven't seen in a couple of years that she pulled loose, and if you go in there and look at it, it doesn't look like she did anything, but she did. It's still
she consolidated.
She consolidated a lot of things, and she took a picture of all that damn cardboard and sent it to Grindhead Jim. And I don't even know if he knew who she was when she sent it to him. But anyway, she sent him this picture and she goes, all the big boxes and little boxes have been taken out. And his response was, from where? And she goes, Bill's junk room. And he's like, holy cow.
Yeah, so, you're more tolerant than I am, buddy, because my wife, bless her heart, she's tried on occasion to tidy. And I'm like, honey, I know exactly where everything is. It looks like chaos to you, but I know which box has what. And when you come in and straighten up, things get moved, and I get irritated because then I don't know where you put it. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of the same way, Jim. But the thing is, one of the reasons why I can't find anything in here is because multiples of that has happened multiple times over the years. So one of the reasons why everything is in these cardboard boxes is because she wanted to put everything away. So it all got put away in cardboard boxes. Then it all got stacked. And then that stack got shuffled a couple of times. And now I'm lost as to what I've got in here and what I don't. And then she pulled this stunt. And one of the things that she's wanting to do is to transfer from the cardboard to plastic tubs. Which
she's trying to keep you from getting a call from the fire marshal for having a fire hazard.
Well, cardboard also breeds critters.
That's true. Yeah, Ian's saying we should have donated all that cardboard to A World Made of Cardboard.
We should have.
He's probably got a good stash of his own.
I think he's got enough cardboard, and some of this cardboard needed to be thrown away. It was useless.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did that yesterday in the kindness of her heart, and as irritated by that as I was, I kept my cool.
You took it in the spirit it was given. Bless your heart.
I mean, she's really trying to help, and and I'm the type of person that a lot of times you got to light a fire under my big ass to get anything to happen in the first place anyway. So.
Yeah, it's like I tell my wife. It's like, I'll take a subtle hint if you apply it with a sledgehammer. She likes to. She doesn't want to nag, but she does make those. It's like, would you like some help straightening up?
Those backhanded compliments. Those. Ian Sweeney's got a question here. Let's see if I can get it on the screen here. Ever read a comic book that you were afraid to finish as you were enjoying it so much? It's happening to me with Hush.
Oh, Hush is a good one.
Hush is a good story.
Boy, yeah.
And
I've been there.
Rolando Flores dropping in. Hey, man, uh,
Howdy.
I've got 9 watchers, and I'm happy with that. I know that Sergeant Slaughter is doing something with his channel members. He's doing a
Oh,
live
that's right.
channel members today. So any of those guys probably won't be here today. And if any of you guys are channel members of Sergeant Slaughter, thank you for coming over here.
I'd meant to drop in on that. I didn't realize it was
Are
today.
you
I thought
are
it was
you a
later.
member of Sergeant Slaughter or Slaughterhouse's
I am a
channel?
member of Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse and of Toy Connections. And a lot of times they'll get together and do members stream
Well,
sometimes.
bless you for doing that. All of us YouTubers need to have all the support we can get. I wish I could support more channels than I do, but I just don't have the funds.
Oh,
And
I
so
understand.
I've narrowed it down to one channel that I support. Everybody knows who it is. No need for me to repeat that here. You know who I support.
I do.
But I have a lot of people who support me that also support these other channels, and I'm grateful for all of you guys. That includes you too, Jim Largo. It's
Sure.
greatly appreciated. I don't like to just sit here and beg, but I do have a Patreon. It doesn't cost that much to support me monthly on Patreon. You can also tip me. I think Nightbot's been telling y'all how to tip me and how to be on Patreon. Just look at the chat stream and see what Nightbot's saying in there. I know a lot of you guys may be bot blind to my bot, but
Yeah,
it's okay.
I've got a couple of favorite channels. I give a little bit to as I can, but I can't give as much as I'd like. So I understand what you mean. But
Well,
there's just so much good
I have
content
enough,
out
I
there.
have enough money rolling in through the Patreon to pay for my StreamYard's subscription, and that's all I get out of my patrons right now. So you're a patron of mine. I think Pope is. I
Hmm.
know Mill McLaughlin is. Bjorn Jorgensen, who is notoriously absent today. But
Well,
anyway,
that
yeah,
might be my fault because I told him some Target exclusives. I'm asking him to help
yeah,
us
I
hunt
saw that,
for.
and if he gets those, I would greatly appreciate adding those because I think they fit right in
Oh yeah,
with the Mattel size figures as well. I prefer the Mattel figures over McFarlane's, but if
yeah,
McFarlane produces some figures that are better of the different characters that never were produced by Mattel, I think they'd fit right in.
yeah. The Mattel ones were better quality for articulation. I think the ones that Toddy Mack is doing, the face sculpts are probably a little bit better, and he's doing characters that we didn't get with Mattel. So I'm appreciative of that. King Tut was always one of my favorite
Yes,
Batman
I like
TV
King Tut.
villains.
I liked Egghead too. Vincent
Yep,
Price is Egghead,
he
but
did a great job
I will
hamming
tell
it
you. I
up.
will tell you something though. I've seen the Joker figure of Toddy Mack's Joker figure, and I've compared it to the Joker figure that came from Mattel. And
Hmm.
Toddy Mack's Joker figure is missing a feature.
The stripes on his pants. No, well, what else? Oh,
Joker
the
had a mustache.
mustache. That's right, because Cesar Romero wouldn't shave it.
That's right.
That was
Cesar
a
Romero wouldn't shave it, so he put the clown white right over his mustache, and it was
yep.
quite obvious. If you watch the
Sure,
TV show, you can see it. Well, the Mattel figure has a mustache. You can
I
see
have
it.
them. I was going to say, if you give me a second, I'll go run and get them so we can show it
Yeah,
on
I've got one
screen.
too, but he's right over here in a drawer. But yeah, it's got a mustache on it, and the Todd McFarlane's figure does not. So that
Yeah, Ian seeing that the Joker's mustache was hidden better than the one on Henry Cavill for the Justice League movie.
that was
That
awful. Well,
it looked terrible.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you watch the real version of Justice League, which came out, it was 6 hours long. You will
I
see
did.
that Henry Cavill did not have that stupid mustache. He had it in the
No,
reshoots because he couldn't shave it because he was still filming the movie that he had the mustache for. So
right.
they
I think he was in
CGI'd
Mission
it out, and it
Impossible.
looked awful.
Yeah, it just made his face look goofy. It looked like a cartoon. But yeah, I'll go run and grab that so we can show it on screen. I'll be right back.
Cool. Well, we got Ronald Flores, Pope, We've got Manic Plastic Toy Shop. We've got Radical Toy and his mom, Radical Mom, Ian Sweeney. Everybody just here, just hanging out with me, having a good time. We had 9. We're down to 7. My stream says that it's getting unstable here. Largo's going to get his Joker figure. In one of my recent hauls, I got the Todd McFarlane playset of the Villain's Lair, and we put that together the other day, and that is a awfully good playset. It just looks really nice, and I put the Mattel figures in there, and they just fit very nicely. I did pick up a Catwoman figure from Todd McFarlane Toys and brought it home, and it looks like the Lee Merriweather figure to me more than it does Julie Newmar. But the Todd McFarlane Catwoman has a mask on, and I think that mask is removable. I think it's just glued on. So I am very tempted to try to soak that sucker in some water, hot water, and maybe get something to loosen that glue on it and try to get that mask off of my that Catwoman and see if it'll fit on the Mattel version.
There we are. Yeah, now here's old Toddy Max, and I like the likeness. I think he really did a good job of capturing the likeness.
Let me big in you there, Largo, so the folks can see that a little bit better.
There we go. Whoa, there he is. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah,
but the likeness is good. But you're right.
You'll know that's Cesar Romero by looking at that face. Mm-hmm. That's true.
But he didn't put the stripes on the pants.
He didn't put stripes on his pants.
But this is the Mattel one, and I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, he's got that mustaches there.
Put your hand behind it maybe and see if we can't clear that up a little bit. That might just be my internet connection. Yeah, it's kind of blurry, and I think it's the internet connection.
It could be, but yeah, side by side, they're. I gotta say, the Toddy Mac likeness looks a little better. He just didn't put the little mustache on. His face is
a little fuller. I will tell you that. That's true.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Now Pope says Henry Cavill is the greatest Superman, and you old timers may ban me for saying that. No, I'm not going to ban you for saying that. I disagree with you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to ban you. I'm
a big fan of George Reeves from the old TV show.
Well, I like that. Well, he was my first Superman, my first live action Superman as a child. After Oris Mays's gospel music show would go off, Superman would come on, and then after Superman was over with, Dick Williams' Magic Land would come on Sunday mornings on Channel 5. So
George Reeves was one of those that he played the character with so much earnest intent. You just believed he was Clark Kent and Superman.
To the point
what I will say for
he was typecast and couldn't play any other character.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. But what I would say for Henry Cavill, as a person, as an actor, Henry Cavill is a wonderful, genuine person, and he makes a good Superman. However, he just hasn't had a good script yet. Man of Steel had some problems.
We may be seeing the end of that though, because they are going to be making a new Superman movie with Cavill in it, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right on that one?
Yes. From what we heard, he did a slight cameo at the end of Black Adam, and that was kind of his way of letting people know he's coming back. Man of Steel 2 will have a different director and hopefully a different direction.
From what I understand,
they're not going to do the Snyder stuff.
It's going to be a soft reboot as well, if I'm not mistaken. I may be in the minority on this, but I'd like to see Ben Affleck come back as Batman.
Well, he wasn't bad, but again, I didn't like the script. I didn't like the story that Snyder was trying to tell with him, because he went dark, and it's like,
he went too far in one direction. And then they brought in the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, and he went too far in the other direction.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
If they can just find it. Ian Sweeney's got a good point here. He says one of the biggest things McFarlane has going for him is the price point on these toys.
Absolutely.
And I do agree with that. But you also see why the price point's where it's at when you look at the quality of the toy as well. And I don't mean that
Yeah.
in a bad way, but it's just not as high quality as it could be. And that could be because of the price point. I mean, you get what you pay for.
That's true. One thing with Toddy Mac that I don't like is the capes. The quality of these capes that he does are just awful.
It's made out
It's
of
like,
ribbons. They're made
yeah,
out
it's
of
like
ribbons.
Christmas ribbon or something. It's
Yeah, they're
terrible.
made out of ribbons. I agree with you on that one, but there is an alternative to that. They're a little pricey, but they're worth it, and that's the Cape
Hmm.
Master. I've had him
Absolutely.
on my show before.
I've got several of his for my superpowers, and I have ordered one to replace this Adam West. He just started making these. Hopefully, he'll do
Mhm.
one for Robin as well.
Oh,
But
I
those, it
think he
just
will if for the right amount of dough. Cape Master will make anything you want. You just got to talk with him
that's
and
true.
get with him about it. Ian Sweeney thinks I think it will. An interview with Cavill says he wants people to leave the next movie not only feeling good but wanting to do good, which is
Yep.
Superman in a nutshell. He's right. Uh,
And that's where like Bruce Timm did really well with the animated version. You know, he was limited on what he could do. There were certain characters they wouldn't let him use in the animated, but he made it work because he went to the root of the characters. He made them virtuous and noble. And that's
Well,
something.
that's the thing. A lot of people get Superman wrong. They don't understand Superman. They try to make him a fish out of water. They try to
Yeah,
make him an alien that feels out of place and alone and blah blah blah
right.
blah 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 blah.
My favorite Superman is when they get it right. He's a farm boy from Kansas.
Yeah,
He was raised here. He was raised with, good horse sense or
virtuous,
common
very
sense.
virtuous. Look,
Yeah.
uh, the fact that Superman has the powers that he has, but he only wants to do good with them, and only Superman, a character like Superman, can be that.
Hmm.
Uh, because
That's why I'm not a fan of the Injustice series because they, I mean, I understand it's kind of a what if, but everybody wants to try to make Superman into a tyrant or a despot, and it's like, yes,
well,
you
that's because that's what we would become if we had the powers of Superman.
right.
We don't have. We're the Superman story is the story of Moses. It's the story of Christ almost.
Hmm.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not trying to be
Right.
sacrilegious here,
No, that's what
but
Richard Donner did well in his film, was the
yes, I
idea
mean it's
of
like
Kal-El being sent on purpose to be something as an idea, something noble for people to
right
aspire. And I
now
dig that.
if you want to see what would happen if we became Superman instead of Kal-El, go ahead and read Max Immortal.
Max Immortal.
Yeah, let me see if I've got this on the ye oldie shelfie over here. Uh, let's
I
see.
do remember a recent one called Brightburn that was kind of in that vein.
It's the same thing almost. Let me see if I can find it on the shelf here. I know I had it up here at one time. I see Brat Pack, and Brat Pack was the beginning of that, and Max Immortal was the ultimate conclusion of that. I
Yeah,
think
Ian's watching the animated series of Superman right now, and it is
that
really well done.
Bruce Timm stuff is absolutely the bomb, man.
Hmm.
All right,
Yeah, I
here we
really
go.
like that.
This is by Rick Veitch, and it started with this book here. Let me embiggen myself so you can see it.
Okay.
All right. This book here is called The Brat Pack.
Hmm.
And basically it's the Teen Titans.
Okay.
And the character, the doll of the character that you see on the front here is Chippy. And the Chippy is the sidekick of, let me see if I can look in here and remember. Each of the main characters we have in here. We have a Wonder Woman character. and we have a Batman character, and the Batman character is the Flying Fox or the.
Yeah, I'm right with you, Pope. I wish that show had continued longer. Both the Batman and the Superman had animated. I liked what they did with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and they did one other, just a standalone movie that was a DC animated movie of Justice League that was pretty good. They've taken a different direction now. I'm not sure how much Bruce Timm is involved. The newer movies aren't terrible, but they don't have that same magic that the earlier Bruce Timm ones did, in my opinion. And
Well,
who else was in that? There were a lot of folks that contributed to those. So what was the publisher on these, Bill? This Brat
King
Pack?
Hell. King
Okay.
Hell. And it's got an introduction by Neil Gaiman.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the backside. There's the bad guy, and it looks like a toy called Heroes from Hell. But
So it's satirical.
it's very satirical. This is the Teen Titans, and we find out that I think it's the Midnight Mink is the name of the Batman character in here, and he has had a succession of chippies over the years. Chippies keep dying, and so the new Chippy joins the team in this book here, and then we start finding out all of the really bad secrets of what's going on behind the scenes with these characters. But the reason that these characters all came about was because of the Max Immortal, who is the Superman character in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And the Max Immortal returns at the end of this book here, and which leads into the next graphic novel that Rick Veitch did, which was called the Max Immortal.
Ah, okay.
And the Max Immortal tells the story of what would really happen had a small child from another planet with the powers of Superman showed up on Earth. Let's just say. So if you want to read that, then by all means, I suggest getting these books. The story is great. But if you want to do that to my Superman, you can kiss my rear end. Okay. You don't do that. Make your own story with your own character, but don't take Superman and run him down that hole.
Right. That's like The Boys and some of these other ones. It's like, I get it. It's entertaining to a point, but I like superheroes who are actually good guys. I like, ones that are virtuous.
That's the thing. And that's the thing that always separated Marvel from DC. Marvel Comics was the gritty, was the almost real. You could see reality being shown in those books. The Fantastic Four was a wonderful team, but they had their problems. They fought each other more than they fought the villains.
Right.
And
but even in that, though, Bill, even in that, in the 60s and 70s, they would show, political unrest or the characters having personal issues. But the one thing that they didn't do was have those characters turn their back on being good guys. It's like whatever squabbles they had, it's like, we'll put that aside and do what we got to do to put down Dr. Doom or whoever's, showing up at the Baxter Building this week. And, the tragic stories like with Ben Grimm, he had every right to hate Reed for turning him into a big old rock monster. But he, it's like they did a lot of work with the interpersonal stories between him and Reed and him coming to terms with being a man monster and this and that and finding his humanity, and there was good storytelling. And, old Peter Parker, Lord, he just couldn't get a break. But he never gave up on what his Uncle Ben instilled in him. And
that's right.
It's
with great power becomes great responsibility. That's correct, and you're right. I think the DC heroes were a little more idealized than the Marvel heroes. Some people seem to think that in the Bronze Age, those heroes could do no wrong. Well, we know for a fact because we read those stories that that's not the case.
Right.
There was a lot of things that happened back in the Bronze Age that's worth reading again. I think one of the main ones would be when Green Arrow lost his fortune, and he teamed up with Green Lantern, and they got in a pickup truck and they started riding across
Right.
America.
The Hard Traveling Heroes, Neil Adams. Great stories, great
It's
art.
wonderful, wonderful stories, and there's that iconic moment when Hal Jordan got put in his place.
Yep.
A common man is. I mean, you need to read these stories. I mean, kids today, and I'm talking about the Zoomers, they think that they're the ones that came up with all of this. Well, you go back and you find out that ain't the case.
Right. And it's like even with Robin, he gets a lot of flack for being, the boy
And
target.
speaking of
And
Zazel just hit the
hey,
house. Thank you for showing up, Zazel. I know that you guys had a stream with your channel members over there, and of course, I always do open mic about this time on Fridays anyway. So I didn't mean to step on your toes there, brother. But we're just over here talking about what we can talk about. I've got Largo here on the show with me,
yep.
and we're just
Looking
talking.
forward to catching the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championships later. I'll catch it on the replay. Those are always fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love to watch some Sergeant Slaughter. I saw a figure, and I don't know if it's a recent figure or not, but it's the Turncoat Sergeant Slaughter from the 1990s when Sergeant Slaughter
Hmm.
became the bad guy, did a heel turn.
Ben Stutley, nice
Yeah,
to see
Ben
you.
Stutley's in the house, got in, missed it, just dropping you on a quick high and like. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that.
Oh, we didn't miss it, Bill.
Remember
Zazel's
streamers
streaming
tomorrow, just before
tomorrow.
Slaughterhouse Wrestling. Okay, so
I
good
thought it was
deal.
tonight.
I'm glad to know that. I'm glad to know that, Zazel. I appreciate it, man. I thought it was today. I must
Cool.
have
Well,
misread that when I saw it
we'll
on.
definitely we'll drop in and say howdy.
Of course, I'm not a member of the slaughterhouse. Sorry about that. I can't support everybody, but I've got one channel I support, and that's all. And then I've got me over here trying to make it with what little I've got. So,
But I know you'll enjoy the wrestling. I love
now the
the
wrestling
stop
I
motion.
like. Yes, I love those wrestling stop motions. That Justin Roche helps him with those, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
It's a good thing. I like all that.
I like watching Zazel's stuff and the guys from GI Joeberg. They do some fun,
Mhm.
little skits with their Joes, little
Speaking of
adventures.
stop motion and skits, I need to catch up with Monster Island Buddies. That's what I need to catch up with. I've kind of got behind over there too.
Too much good stuff, not enough time. I understand that.
I know, and then you'll find out this eventually because you're going to wind up with your own channel before it's over with. There, Largo.
I
Once
prefer to be the sidekick.
I like that, but I'm telling you, once you start your own channel, it's hard to keep up with everybody else and run your own show too. So
Sure.
I don't know how Zazel does it. I had him on the show the other day, and I asked him point blank. I said, "How in the hell do you do this, Zazel? I know you're in Australia. I know the time zones are so wonky." I said, "Yet you show up in all these American streams saying hey and hi and liking." And he
I've
said,
got a
"Well,
theory, Bill.
go
It's the
ahead."
beard. When Zazel goes to sleep, his beard just takes over and types for him. That's what
Well,
it is.
he keeps some strange hours and he catches cat naps here and there, but he keeps his phone on all the time. And
Ah,
every channel that he's subscribed to, he set the bell on. So when the bell rings, he runs over and checks out the channel. He may not stay long, but at least he comes in, he gives a like, and he stays long enough to say hey to everybody. And that is a wonderful thing, Zazel, that you do.
oh
And
yeah.
I don't know how you do it. I can't do it. When 8:30 comes, I hit the sack and I'm knocked out like a light until 4 a.m. the next morning when my alarm goes off. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
miss a
excited
lot
to
of stuff.
see Zazel's. Is he do it? Was it Indiegogo? He's got a fundraiser to help him to get to
Oh
meet
yeah.
his hero, and I'm not sure where they are on their goal, but he's making progress little by little.
And if you're wondering about that, just go over and hit Sergeant Slaughterhouse
Mm-hmm.
stream and just watch a few of the videos. Most of the videos will tell you all you need to know. And Manic Plastic says you sound like me. Yeah, well, I'm serious. I miss a lot of fun stuff because of my sleeping pattern. Now, a lot of people like to play after 8 o'clock on YouTube, and that's when I'm in the bed. As
Right.
a
Because you
matter
got to
of
get
fact,
up early.
this stream has been going since 4:20 today, which that's the time I set on purpose.
Wink, wink,
But
nudge, nudge.
yeah, so we've been on for about an hour and 30 minutes now, just having fun. We've
Sure.
been talking all kinds of stuff. We went from toys to comics, and talking about Superman and cartoon shows and lots of different stuff. If you want to come on and talk about anything that's on your mind, I have a pinned uh, comment up here in the chat stream that tells you my StreamYard link. I'll be more than happy to let you on the show and just tell me what's on your mind. And Sergeant Slaughter says, "Thanks, guys. I appreciate the support. The great thing about YouTube is the replay. Yeah, the replay button is wonderful. But
That
ain't
does help to catch up.
nothing like participating and being in the chat. That's for sure.
That's true. I love, being in the peanut gallery with Ken and Zazel, and while they're working on something, it's always nice to put in my 2 cents here and there.
And Ian Sweeney gives us a wake up call here. I miss a lot of the streams. I'm in the UK, so it's currently not far off from midnight.
Oh yeah, time zones make it tricky.
And Manic Plastic there. Michael Purvis says it's 6:51 p.m. here. So you must be on the Eastern time zone. I Like Salt has just showed up. Always stop by to see what you're doing. Well, it's good to see you, Mr. I Like Salt. Sir, I Like Salt. He is a knight in the army of the Ancient Order of Men. Big supporter over there. And I found out that he lives just a few towns down from me.
Cool. You have
So
to get together and have some barbecue.
that's what I was going to say. I Like Salt. We need to hit the Windy City Grill together sometime with me and my old lady, and just meet up and eat some of that good Chicago food there. If you're up to that, just let me know. And if you want to contact me, there's a couple of ways to contact me. If you're on a PC and you go to the my channel here, Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, and go to the About section and look under business contact address. If you click on that, it will show you an email address that you can contact me at. Now, that's not my email address. It's an email address that I do look at and can get, but I will not answer you back on that email. Your answer back is going to come from my personal email, and that's the way I weed out the crazies.
Now, wait a minute, Bill. You told me I had to use my Captain Midnight secret decoder ring to send you messages.
I did not. But what I did tell you that you could do is you could also go over to my blog, Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, over on blogspot.com. If you go to the, I think it's the contact section on there, there's a contact form on there. If you put your real email address in there and a subject line, and you write down your comment to me in the comment box, that will email me, and I can contact you back at my correct email address. Now, the email that it's my weed out email, I don't answer back on that because I found that that particular email address has been blocked by Google and Yahoo for some reason. But it does weed out the crazies, and I do get those emails if you send an email to me. And Largo, you understand what I mean by weeding out the crazies, right?
Yes, sir. I do indeed.
And they exist, and they've come around on occasion. So that's it. And I Like Salt says, I'm not crazy, but they sure as heck are out there. I agree. Now, I am crazy, and I'll tell you right now that I'm as crazy as a lunatic. And the reason I tell you that, crazy folks, they don't know they're crazy. And they'll tell you that they're not crazy and that everybody else around them is crazy. That's how you can tell that somebody's actually crazy. They refuse to believe that they're crazy. So if I say I am crazy, maybe I'm sane after all.
It's a good philosophy.
And he and Sweeney says, I am crazy, but I take my medication.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's tough on Zazel. He's always in the future. Today's
Yeah,
his
he's
tomorrow.
always ahead of it. I like sauces. I'm still in denial. I thought that was a river over there in Egypt.
Well, I find that being eccentric at least does keep the other crazies at arm's length. It's like I stay just odd enough that the other people give me some breathing room, and I'm cool with
Well,
that.
somebody told me one day to get a life, but that confuses me because I can't decide whether life was a magazine, a board game. I mean, what is life? Is it a magazine? Is it a board game?
Well, I
Is it a
heard somewhere
cereal?
it
It
was
could be. It could be a breakfast cereal.
life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, well, that was in another iconic movie because you never know what you're gonna get.
That's true.
But and Saturday, I'm just wondering what John Paul Revere's got in store for us over there on the Ancient Order of Men because I think he's got the big show coming up on Saturday, and the time
Hmm.
has moved from 9 p.m. to 8 so that he can bring in more shows. So
Yeah, he's been popping up randomly, trying out having some guests on there. He had the Battle Gnome and his other fella, the musician whose name escapes me at the moment.
that would
Bad
be
Adam
Adam.
or
That would be Adam
Adam.
from the Helgramites,
That's
and he
right.
also had Gnome on there, Battle Gnome.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering what he was using to have them on that stream that he did earlier this week, because
It was a different format, wasn't it?
it was a different format. He was able to put their pictures in different places. Which StreamYard, he tried StreamYard's week before last, and he didn't like it at all. And I could tell he didn't like it. And one of the reasons he didn't like it was because of the compression factor that was
Mm,
messing up his music.
right. That's a big
Um,
part of his show.
It is. Boxed chocolate must have been a real mystery back then because I can clearly see what I'm going to get by looking at the image on the top.
Yep.
Okay.
We used to get I don't know if they have them in Australia. They probably do, but the Whitman's sampler box was a Christmas staple.
Yes,
And
and
every year
I still enjoy that Whitman sampler box. Now, what was your favorite piece out of the Whitman sampler box there, Largo?
there was one that was had a raspberry filling, and I think it had like a picture of a soldier on the front or something. I'd always try to get that before anybody else would because
Well,
that was
there was a little piece of chocolate shaped like the messenger boy. That was the one I always tried to get out of there.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of at
And
the moment.
Michael Purvis says, at
Oh
the
boy.
moment I'm setting up these LED light strips around my room. Oh, Christmas time is here again.
Oh, I need to pull
Some
out all
people
the
will
Christmas
never go
stuff.
crazy. What terrible, dull lives they must live. Okay. Yeah, that's a good
It's a
saying.
good quote.
Speaking of which, here on one of my favorite television channels is called Me TV. I don't know if you're aware of that station or not. It's
I used to watch that when I was back in Tennessee. They show a
yeah.
lot of
Well,
like Green Acres and all the old, uh,
Did you
sitcoms and
know? Did
stuff.
you know that Charles Schultz of Peanuts fame would have been 100 years old this year?
This year, yeah,
And
and
they played some of the original Peanuts specials on MeTV here recently, and my
cool.
wife and I got to see a little bit of Snoopy Come Home.
Yeah, that's one you don't see very often.
You
That
don't
was a
see
good
that
one.
one very much at all, but I remember it very distinctly from when I was a child. There was two of them: a boy named Charlie Brown and Snoopy Come Home. And they just showed those just the other day on Me TV.
My favorite part of those was probably the soundtrack. What was the fella's name? Vince, the musician.
That iconic Snoopy music with
Hmm.
the piano playing on it. That I love that. I
Yep,
guess the first time we ever heard that was in the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
I think so. I think
'Cause
I've
I
got
think
that
that was the
soundtrack.
very, very, very first one, and I have that on DVD in there somewhere. Uh, Esther Price assorted milk chocolates. Do you remember that brand, Esther
I
Price?
don't. It doesn't ring a bell, but I do like those. I like any kind of chocolate pretty much. And here in Guatemala, they have they grow the coca, so we get a lot of the really fresh chocolate and dark chocolates. I love dark chocolate.
Well, are you a fan of Doctor Who?
Me? Oh yeah.
Okay, Bill Hartnell, the original Doctor, played in an
Hmm.
episode called The Aztecs. Do you
I
remember
remember
that?
that.
Okay.
Well, I don't remember it when it was live, but
Of course
I've
not, because
got.
that was before we were even gleams in our father's eyes in the 60s. But the DVD of The Aztecs with Bill Hartnell in it as the Doctor has a little section in there of animation with two of the characters that were the Aztecs in the television show, done in a
Oh yeah.
South Park style. There you go. There's a TARDIS, a police box, a police
Indeed.
telephone call box.
That's right.
But anyway, they basically comedically give us a recipe for authentic Mexican cocoa, which includes chili. Chili peppers were put in the cocoa, and I did
They
not
still do
realize
that.
that.
Oh yeah.
So
Mexican
it's not
chocolate's
only
spicy.
it's spicy chocolate. I've never thought of adding chili peppers to cocoa. So I'm sure you've drank some of that. Is it very hot as well as
No,
sweet?
it is sweet and hot, but it's mild, so it just kind of creeps up on you.
Okay.
Gives a little
Well,
kick.
I've often wanted to take the little recipe for authentic cocoa and try it out, but I just don't have all the ingredients that the characters were using in that. But I think that little segment may be available somewhere on YouTube if you guys ever want to see it. But anyway, it's the two Aztecs from the Aztecs Doctor Who television show, and the animation is done like South Park, and they come in and
Right.
they give you the recipe of how to make cocoa. So
That was from the first season, wasn't it? That was one of the
it,
early
it
episodes.
was a very early episode. It had Ian and Barbara and
Hmm.
Susan in it, along with the first Doctor. So yeah,
Right. When I was
I,
a kid, my dad was stationed in Scotland, and I got to watch old Tom Baker on the BBC. So he was my first doctor. And then as I got older and when all this stuff started coming out on video, I went back and saw the first and the second and third doctors. And of course, I've seen all the ones that come after up until number 13. And then I
yeah,
stopped watching.
that would be the lady Doctor.
Yes, the one lovingly referred to as Dr. Karen.
Well, that's what Nerdy Roddick calls her, but I don't think she as an actress is to blame as much
No,
as
sir.
the showrunner Chris Chibnall, who doesn't know how to find his booty hole with two hands and a map.
He's not a good writer. I've seen Jodie Whittaker in other things that she's done, like Broadchurch. She's a good actress, but she did not get a good script when
No, I
she
don't
did
think.
her run.
I think that she was done wrong all the way around on that one, and the fact that he wanted to change the entire backstory of the show. And yes, I know the backstory developed over a number of years and it changed a couple of times during that too, but it came to a point where it is pretty much the backstory that the first Doctor was the first Doctor and that he was, in fact, a Time Lord, but he might have been a little bit more than a Time Lord. We don't know, depending on whether you go with the Cartmel master plan or not. But this guy, he shoved all of that even to the side and came
Yeah.
up with a
Bill
whole.
Pope's going to have to bow out. Pope, thank you for coming. Glad
All
to
right,
see you,
thanks,
sir.
Pope. Well, appreciate you stopping by, man. You take care. And I'm not going to be on very much longer because we've been on for an hour and 45 minutes now. But
Yep.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Ian mentioned the Wynton Marsalis album where he did
yeah,
a number
the
kind of.
Joe Cool's Blues. I'll have to check
Hmm.
that out.
Good stuff. He does a
Uh,
cover of Linus and Lucy and some of the other classics.
Ian said he stopped watching with the Paul McGann TV movie, which was another atrocious thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people liked the Paul McGann TV movie. I did not. However, I do like Paul McGann's interpretation of the Doctor in that. And if you want to see what could have been, the Big Finish audio plays that are available on CDs from Big
Right.
Finish do show Paul McGann's Doctor in a whole different light.
It was
And
nice that they redeemed him in the 50th anniversary when they
I
kind of
like that as well.
gave
That
him
was
a.
that was a wonderful tribute to him. As a matter of fact, I think he showed up here recently in the last episode of Whitaker's as well, along with some of the
Sylvester
surviving
McCoy
doctors
and Peter
from
Davidson, I believe.
Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy. They all had cameos in that,
And
as well as
who was the sixth Doctor? I can't remember the name of the actor.
Colin Baker.
That's the one. I believe he was there as well.
And Colin Baker's doctor was also given a short shift back in his day as well. Infamously known as the only actor playing the Doctor to ever have gotten fired while in the role. He didn't deserve any of that. He didn't deserve that clown costume that he wore either. But
like
like I
anything,
said,
if it goes on long enough, you'll hit some low points. So Doctor Who has
Big
not
Finish
always been.
redeemed him as well. His character and his doctor have been redeemed in the Big Finish audio dramas as well. So
Recently, I've been getting into the John Pertwee, the third Doctor.
the third Doctor is
he was,
my favorite Doctor. When they started showing the third Doctor episodes on PBS, I really enjoyed him. His Doctor was very flamboyant. He wore a cape. He drove a car called Bessie. That was an old Edwardian roadster. He also had a Who-mobile, which only showed up in 2 episodes.
That was like a hovercraft, right?
It was, but that was actually a roadworthy, drivable car that John Pertwee had commissioned and built for himself. And the car's name was Alien. That's what the car's name was. It was called the Alien. And Pertwee actually drove that car, and it was his car, and they incorporated it into Doctor Who. And when the car registration came out, the car registration was HVO.
Of course,
very close to Who. And Michael Purvis said he stopped watching Doctor Who a while back and still enjoy it. Well, one of these days, I am going to have to show off my DVD collection of Doctor Who that I have collected, and it's taken me years to curate, but I have, in one form or another, on DVD, every single episode from the very first episode all the way up until the last episode that
with Sylvester McCoy.
No, not Sylvester McCoy. We're going keep on going. We go through the new ones too.
Oh, okay. Up till Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi. The Christmas episode with him and the first Doctor in it. I have them all the way to that point, including the almost a full collection of Paul McGann's audio dramas as well on CDs with a DVD case that looks like it would be part of the collection. Some of the specials and everything included in that. And I even got the first season of Jodie Whittaker because at the time I was a completionist. I wanted to have a complete collection of Doctor Who television show, and it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I bought the first season of Jodie Whittaker, and I tried to watch it. I watched a couple episodes, and I couldn't get into it.
Ian says that he has the Missing Adventures novels by Virgin. I have many of those.
Those are good.
During what we call the dark days, when Doctor Who was no longer on the air, had been canceled, put on hiatus by the BBC. The Virgin
there were some good comic books too.
Yeah,
and then the little, was it Target was a publisher that did the kind of they redid some of the scripts and made them into pocket books.
The Target novels. I have many of those, and the reason I can't get to them is because the bookcase that they're in has another case in front of it with action figures and monster scenes and all of that in front of it. But yeah, I had the Virgin novels, and then the BBC decided that they wanted to make their own Doctor Who novels, and they took the license away from Virgin and started producing
Really?
their own novels. And I have a few of those novels. And one of the things that they did do was bring some of the writers that were writing those novels over as well. And so there's a lot of lore to Doctor Who
Oh
besides
yeah.
just what you see on the television show.
Oh
But
yeah. Even old
the
Douglas Adams did a few scripts.
he did. One of his most famous never even made it to the screen was Shada, but it
Mm-hmm.
has been recreated in several different formats. One of my favorite is Ian Levine's version of Shada. Ian Levine, I don't know if you ever heard of him, was a super fan,
Mm-hmm.
and
He
he
did
had
like
a
an animated version, or
he did a lot
okay.
of things. Most of it was only for himself and in his personal collection. But he had the money and the resources to bring in Sylvester McCoy, Colin
Wow.
Baker, film scenes with them, and some of this stuff is leaked out over the years, and I have some of that in my collection. But the I do have Ian Levine's version of Shada, and I also have the BBC version, two versions of the BBC version of Shada. The first was the one that they originally released on VHS tape with Tom Baker doing narration for the parts that weren't
Mm-hmm.
filmed. And then
Now,
Ian
now,
Levine,
was that because of a writer's strike, or
it
what? What
was,
happened? Why they didn't?
they call that industrial action over there in England. There
Mm-hmm.
was industrial action, which was basically either a writer's strike or it was an actor's strike. But anyway, it was a strike against the BBC, and nothing could be finished as a result of that
Right.
and that industrial action. And so Shada kind of got mothballed, but a lot of it was completed except for the special effects and whatnot.
Well, I remember
Uh,
back then you either had BBC or ITV. That was pretty much it. So,
that's
you know,
correct. I think it was BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. And
hmm
of course, something that I remember distinctly from ITV was the Tomorrow People.
that was a good one. That and Blake Seven, I think, was that an ITV production?
Blake Seven, I think, was BBC.
Was it?
Here in America, Blake Seven always came on Sunday afternoons after Doctor Who was over with.
And some of
And
the what was his name, Gary Anderson, who did Thunderbirds and
yeah,
Captain Scarlet.
and he also did Space 1999, if I'm not mistaken.
hmm He did.
And I distinctly remember Space 1999. They tried to get it to go here in America, and I remember they released a TV movie, and I
Mm,
vaguely remember watching that and being intrigued by the spaceship in it. But
the Eagle. Those are
I
cool.
never saw anything after that of it. But I did remember the toys that were released and wanting those toys, but never getting any of them. But
I had some of the little die-cast metal Eagles. I think Dinky
mhm.
was the company that made them. But the one I really wanted was one that was about the size for GI Joe figures. And I can't remember who made it, but it was really cool.
And but I found recently. Now I haven't looked here in the last year or so, but there was a couple of years ago. Voodoo, VUDU, which is a streaming service, I think run by Walmart, if I'm not mistaken. But
hmm
a lot of old television shows, you can watch them for free. All you have to do is endure the commercial every once in a while here or there. But they had the entire run of Space 1999 on there. I think there were two seasons made of that. But the first season's much, much better than the second. I'll say that.
Right.
And the premise of the whole thing was that there was an explosion on the moon which blew it out of orbit, and it's just kind of free floating through space. And they were
Never
all
put your nuclear waste on the moon, kids. That's the lesson from Space 1999.
there. You go. And Ian Sweeney, he likes the Virgin novels, and he also says that there was one novel where Canine, the doctor's robot pet dog, ran for office in Romana wearing a rosette saying "Vote Canine, the logical choice."
You probably would have done pretty well in Parliament.
Did you speaking of Doctor Who and K9, did you ever watch any of the Sarah Jane television
Hmm.
shows with that character
I
in there?
I caught a few episodes. It wasn't easy for me to get here, but I have seen a few. And then there was another Australian spinoff, I think, that was just K9 with a
Yeah,
new
that
cast.
was I think a kind of a cartoony kind of show. I didn't see
Well, it
any
was
of
live
those.
action, but the K9 was CGI in that
Okay,
one.
I never saw any of those, but I did watch all of Elizabeth Sladen's Sarah Jane adventures.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
she was definitely a fan
Ben Sutley
favorite.
says, very impressed with your knowledge of vintage UK sci-fi, dudes. Nice work. Well, it just kind of goes with the territory there, Ben.
There
But
wasn't a lot of good sci-fi in America.
no,
The
and
British sci-fi was a lot better, at least during the
well,
70s and 80s.
in the 70s here, now you were a military brat, you were actually over there, but
Hmm.
here, a lot of that we had to watch on PBS stations.
Right,
And I can remember in the afternoons after school, uh, they would play an episode of Doctor Who, and it was the
right.
Tom Baker Doctor Who. Now, that meant it was 30 minutes long. You watched that episode, and the cliffhanger would play, and then you had to wait until the next day to find out the outcome of the cliffhanger.
And hope they
And
play them in sequence.
and what was funny about the original run of the Tom Baker shows on PBS here in America, where they played them like that, the commercial breaks were there, although PBS didn't have commercials. So there would be this little the Doctor Who symbol would roll out, and there'd be a cartoon picture of Tom Baker up and says, "We'll be right back after this message," and then it would roll back, and then it would just start back up again. So it's kind of cool. And then they took all the episodes and they compressed them together into one movie, and they would play that on Saturday afternoons, so you could watch like 4 episodes in a row as a
Oh
movie.
yeah, yeah. Maniac Plastic Toy Shop mentioned Torchwood, which is another one I watched. I thoroughly
Yes,
enjoyed.
I've got the first season of that was good.
Hmm.
The second season wasn't nearly as good as the first, and the third season was god awful.
It did kind of go downhill, and then they did a what was it? The children, the one about the children was kind of a spinoff of that. Was that the
Yeah,
third season?
that was
Or
the third season. Hey,
yeah,
what's up, Dino? Good to see you, man. Glad you hopped in the house, man. Dino, if you
but
want to come on the show, there's pinned up there at the top is a StreamYard link. You're more than happy to click on it and come on and talk about all this crazy crap that we've been talking about.
sure.
Uh, Ian Sweeney says Martin Landau and Barbara Bain were married at the time of Space 99, I think. I had seen them first on the Mission Impossible TV series. I think
That's
he's
right.
correct on that.
I remember seeing Landau on Mission Impossible. I don't
Yeah.
remember his wife, but more than likely she was there. I just don't recall.
Speaking of Space 1999, somebody somewhere was bitching about the costumes that were worn in Star Trek the motion picture, and why they didn't look more like the television series, which was very brightly colored, because Technicolor
Right.
was the new thing back then, and everything was brightly colored.
Well, Roddenberry
And
didn't want those bright colors
he
originally.
did
That
not,
was
and
the network.
but the costumes in Star Trek the motion picture looked more like Space 1999 costumes.
They really did. The earth tones.
Yeah, and I think that Space 1999 may have had a big impact on the way the costuming was done for Star Trek the motion picture.
That's a fair assumption. Because
Jordell
yeah,
Fresh Breeze, just saying hi. I'm a fairly recent subscriber and also from the UK. Well, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you,
absolutely.
sir. Glad to have you as part of the family here. We like to hang out, chat toys and stuff.
What were
I
some other
know.
good UK sci-fi? I'm trying to think. UFO, which was another one. It came right before
I have
Space
a few episodes
1999.
of that. That was also done by the same. If I'm not mistaken, that's the same guy who invented the Daleks. Terry Nation.
Terry Nation, I believe
Terry
he was
Nation was
involved.
Terry Nation did that, and Terry Nation was the man who invented the Daleks. As a matter of fact,
Hmm.
the Terry Nation estate They make money every time they show the Daleks on Doctor Who. Did
That
you know
must be a
that?
lot. I didn't know they still had. I mean, I know he created it. I didn't know they still had a propriety to it.
Yes. That's why they tried to change the
Okay.
Daleks to a certain to try to get away from that. It didn't work.
No.
Martin Landau played Roland Hand, and Barbara Bain played Cinnamon Carter. That
Yep.
would be on Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Speaking of Mission Impossible, another good UK show was The Avengers. I
Yeah.
love that.
Sapphire and Steel, says Ian Sweeney,
Mhm.
and he also says that Terry Nation was the creator of Blake 7. Now, I knew that as well.
Yep. Blake
So,
7
yeah,
was one. It's totally underrated. I'd love to see
very
a
much
way to get
so,
that.
and it's episodic as well, so it has to be watched
Mhm.
in order, and
It's a sad story.
it's a very sad story, and I don't think it has the greatest of endings either, but
No,
but
it's one of those where
thoughtful.
they
It's thought provoking.
absolutely
That's one of the aspects of British television in the first place. Is most British television is very, very thought provoking. It's not for
better scripts,
much
and
better.
they didn't pull any punches. They would kill off characters that people liked,
Yes,
and you missed
exactly.
them.
And but like I said, thought provoking. It wasn't mindless entertainment. You had to think when you watch. And Doctor Who, especially. I used to tell my mother and my wife. Now I tell her this. I said, back in the day, if you missed the first episode, it was hard to watch the episodes after the first episode because you didn't know what was going on.
Right, and you couldn't just go back and catch it somewhere like
No,
we can now.
the
You had to hope
prisoner,
somebody
the
would show it.
prisoner. Thank you, Ian Sweeney, for bringing that up. The
Oh
prisoner.
yeah,
That another thought provoking, very interesting show. I remember watching that when I was younger, and
Patrick.
I'm not understanding what I was watching until I rewatched it again as an adult.
Right. There was a lot of subliminal storylines going on.
Yeah, very much so. And it, like I said, all of this stuff is just fascinating, and most of it has entered into my collection of DVDs in there to watch in perpetuity. I am not a fan of buying stuff and storing it in a so-called cloud.
No, I like a physical copy if I can get it.
Yeah, I mean, what happens when the cloud goes away? What happens when the balloon goes up and all of that shit goes away? Now you're shit out of luck, and it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Video gamers have found that that it's happening to them. They didn't buy a physical media of the games that they liked. They had them on this cloud, and when the company went out of business or got bought out by somebody else, all that stuff they paid for is gone.
Yeah, that's kind of dirty. Ian mentioned one called Danger Man. Do you remember that one?
I've heard of Danger Man.
I'm not familiar. I remember Danger Mouse, the cartoon.
I remember Danger Mouse too, but that's because of Nickelodeon.
Sure, because they did
they
rebroadcast
those on Nickelodeon. But yeah, I don't know that kind of. I'm probably wrong on this, but that kind of reminds me of Diabolic, which was
the Italian one,
Italian comic book about a thief.
Master Thief, yeah.
Master Thief, yes. And they actually made a pretty rotten movie about it as well that wound up in the Mystery Science Theater 3000 lexicon. And that's how I found out about Diabolic, was because it was shown on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
The comic book was good. That movie was
that's
not.
That's like the Barbarella movie was awful, but the comic it was based on was much, much, much better.
Right. That was one. That was the same guy. Was that Mobius that did the Barbarella? The guy that did. What was the other? He did a lot of science fiction stuff that was really popular and translated later.
I think you're right. I can't remember what the guy's name was. You're talking about the artist who did the comic book, right? Yeah,
yes.
I think you're right. It might have been Mobius. But the Barbarella comic was a total different animal than that stupid movie with
But the
handle.
movie did give us one good thing in our pop culture. If it wasn't for that movie, we wouldn't have had Duran Duran.
Well, that's true. That's true. Duran Duran showed up in that as the evil villain, and that's where the Duran Duran band got their name from. I
Yep.
hadn't thought about that in years. I hadn't thought about that
But
one in years.
it's really interesting how much of British pop culture has permeated into American pop culture over the years with the advent of, VCR and being able to watch these things now on, video, DVD, Blu-ray, what have you.
Ian Sweeney tells us that Danger Man had Patrick McGowan, who was the lead in
Who
The
was?
Prisoner.
That's,
And
yep.
Ben Stutley says, Ian Sweeney, great call out, dude. And Weird Fantastic Toy Adventure, same here. I didn't get it until I grew up The Prisoner. And I
Yep.
like the Danger Man Prisoner connection as well. So that's good.
Oh, Secret Agent. Yeah, I remembered a Secret Agent. I
Danger
didn't
Man
realize that was the same
renamed
show.
Secret Agent in the U.S. and only lasted a single season. Yeah. Oh,
There was
well, now,
what
now,
was
now, 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 I want to think about a U.S. television series that was been replayed on MeTV early in the mornings. You could catch it, I think, early on Sunday mornings. At one time, you could.
The
And
Man
that
from Uncle?
no, it was The Invaders.
Oh, The Invaders. It's another good one.
That's a good show, man. And see,
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that because it was before my time. I mean,
Right.
it was back here in the back of my mind, but I didn't know what it was. But then actually watching that, and that's just a great show.
Again, good script writing on a shoestring budget. They made it work.
Yeah.
That's like with Man from Uncle.
Well, I remember watching
was another one.
reruns of that. All of that's before mine and your time. But
Sure.
one of the things that happened was the reruns became a thing when we were growing up.
Well,
And you could watch
syndication.
syndicated reruns, and these little pop-up stations that would pop up on UHF
Mhm.
would didn't have any programming, but they could show all these reruns in the afternoon, and us kids would come home from school, and there wouldn't be anything on TV to watch except this, and
Right.
we got a chance to watch a lot of stuff that from a little before our time that we probably shouldn't have been aware of, but we were.
Yeah, that's how I got introduced to a lot of the Japanese anime
And the
too.
Saint, Roger Moore in the Saint. Now, see, I was introduced
Yeah.
to Roger Moore in the Saint because Channel 5 would show all kinds of stuff like this on Sunday mornings. I mean, I mentioned earlier that I watched George Reeves, and that was
Mhm.
before Dick Williams, who was one of the longest performing magicians, had one of the longest performing shows of magic right there on Channel 5. He was also one of the weathermen there on Channel 5. But Dick Williams is
Cool.
a published magician. One of my mentors, I've actually met him in person before he passed. Yeah, Roger Moore's The Saint, they used to play that on Sunday mornings as well. So yeah, I'm well aware of that. And no, please do not stop now, Ian. As a matter of fact, this is very entertaining to get these memories back from all these different shows.
Sure.
And
I'm
Ben Stutley said he loves the Invaders, the prologue, the acts, the epilogue, and the
right.
music. Yes, I mean it was just a wonderful show, and I don't really remember how long it lasted, and I don't remember whether it had a conclusion.
Yeah, that was another thing about some of those TV shows we liked is if they got canceled, we never got a
And that was
finale.
it. Yeah, that was it. And I also vaguely remember that there was a TV show based upon the Air Force's Operation Blue Book.
Blue Book. Mm-hmm.
And every week they would go and investigate a new UFO sighting, and most of the time, if not all the time, they would always debunk it as a weather balloon or some kids
Swamp
playing with
gas,
a toy.
something.
Oh yeah. And yes,
Yep.
tip me on Streamlabs. The Streamlabs tip is streamlabs.com, Weird Fantastic Toy Adventure /tip. Ian Sweeney brings up another show, Dark Skies. Do you know of that show? I'm not aware of that
That
one.
was a Dark Skies, I think, was a fairly modern one.
Okay.
I remember Dark Shadows. Now, that was a classic.
Well, the Dark Shadows, they actually played reruns of that. That was a soap opera.
It was, but it was horror.
Yeah, it was, but see that's the thing. It was a regular soap opera up until Barnabas Collins was introduced in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just another soap opera like Guiding Light or all that other crap, and then they
Right.
introduced this character of Barnabas Collins in it, and when they introduced him, the show took a complete turn, and he took over the show basically, and it became the
Right.
Dark Shadows that we know of today. Michael
Yeah, I'd
Purvis,
like to know more about this Dark Skies. I've heard of it. I've probably seen a couple
tell us
episodes,
more,
but it
Ian. Tell
doesn't.
us more. We're
Yeah.
intrigued. Michael Purvis says he agrees with us as far as having a physical copy of a DVD or music or anything, and he doesn't trust the digital stuff. I don't. The reason I don't is
Right.
because it can go away. It can be taken away from you. The cloud will not last forever. It's basically like saying I store all of my photographs on my iPhone. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
Well, it's like, the cloud it's a server somewhere. Somebody has to maintain
Here's
that
another
server.
show that I'm aware of. Randall and Hopkirk Deceased. Have you ever heard of that show, Largo?
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, they're if I'm not mistaken, they were private investigators, private eyes, but one of them was dead. Hopkirk.
Oh,
I think he
kind of
was
like what was
dead.
it? Topper. You remember the old Topper movies where
Yeah,
he was
but
like a ghost
yeah,
detective?
Hopkirk was dead, but he was still around. You know,
Right.
he was dead though. Yeah, and Ian Sweeney says the Dark Skies reference Project Blue Book and Majestic 12. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll have
Yeah.
to look that up. That sounds cool.
Yeah. Well, we all know now that Project Blue Book was just the cover. Okay.
Right.
The reality behind all of that is pretty frightening, in my opinion. And some of that has been coming to light here recently, as a lot of that stuff is being declassified.
Mm-hmm.
But I firmly believe that there may not have been a crash at Roswell, but there was a crash somewhere, and
Right.
alien materials was taken to Nevada and disseminated, and because there's so much stuff that happens so quickly. Transistors were created,
Right.
microchips were created, stealth
Yeah, you
jets
look
were
at our
created.
civilization. How long were we at the horse-drawn carriage level? And then all of a
Exactly.
sudden we had
Yeah.
automobiles, and then we
There
had
was a great
airplanes, and then
jump
we
that
had
happened, and yeah,
spaceships.
uh, I think there's something to that. I'm sorry, but I just do. I mean, things just don't happen like that, in my opinion. I mean, we went from technology that was unknown of just decades before that to suddenly this big increase in technology and the ability of man. So yeah, I think that there's some reverse engineering of something going on there.
Well, that's
Yeah.
like this fella. There's a Netflix documentary called was it Ancient Apocalypse with Graham Hancock, I believe is the name of the fellow.
Uh-huh.
He's not an archaeologist, he's a journalist, but he got interested in looking at some of these ruins and saying, if you look at the evidence as a journalist, it makes sense that there was possibly a civilization from way back, maybe before the ice
Well,
age.
now, once again, you bring up another subject. You know, the
Mhm.
ancient aliens thing, and what was it? The Chariots of the Gods was a book that was written by a certain
Eric
individual.
von Daniken, I
Yeah,
believe
and
was
it
the
was
name.
based upon the Nazca Lions down there.
Right. Well, now Graham Hancock is not saying aliens. He says, he believes in the ingenuity of people. He just believes there were sophisticated civilizations long before people
Well,
think there were
that's
because
like
of all these ruins.
that's like some of the things that have been found in the Mediterranean Ocean that don't make any sense.
Because
Uh,
there's a lot of stuff that, when all that ice melted, all the seas rose. So a bunch of things are underwater now.
yeah,
Who knows what's out
and
there?
they found all kinds of things. I think they found a calculating machine down there that was very, very sophisticated that nobody would have thought they could have created back in those days.
Right.
Uh, Ian Sweeney says Dark Skies is from the 90s and only lasted a
Mm-hmm.
season. And
I
then
vaguely remember it.
Oh, look who just showed up. Will McLaughlin just showed up.
Hey, Will.
I like that picture there of you, Will. It looks very young.
He's got a good looking face. What a
Yeah, it
smile.
looks better than a can of Clamato, I can tell you that now. Will, you're more than happy to come. I'm more than happy to have you on. You see the link up there pinned at the top, man. You can hit it and come on in if you want to.
Yeah, please do.
That.
We've been sitting here shooting the breeze long enough. We need a fresh perspective.
Really. And Manic Plastic saying hi to him. And Alo Alo. I know about Alo Alo. I've never watched it, though. But I think it looks like a mug shot. But yeah, Alo Alo was that a comedy show?
Hello.
Was that a comedy show? Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
Now you're fixing to start me talking about British comedy shows.
Oh, don't get me started on Faulty Towers. Are You Being Served?
Are You Being Served?
Keeping Up Appearances.
Mrs. Slocum's Pussy.
Oh
my. But yeah, all the double entendres on that, and then Faulty
British
Towers.
humor is excellent. That's for sure.
And Will says that picture is from 2006. He thinks. And Ian Sweeney says comedy set in occupied France. Okay, yeah. Well, there are a lot of British television. Now we're talking just pure British television at this point, not necessarily sci-fi or whatnot. But there's all kinds of stuff that I want to watch that I've never seen, like Z Cars.
Right. There's a lot of stuff because
Z Cars?
Well, because they have, was it PAL, and we use NTSC or whatever. It's hard to get some of those, and they don't.
Yeah, it has to be converted, and even when it does get converted, the time is not right on it. So it either runs a little bit too fast or a little bit too slow, but it's almost imperceptible. But it's just enough to be
a little off.
Yeah.
Fortunately, a lot of these are getting re-released on newer Blu-rays. Which
Blu-rays and DVDs, with soft
with conversions.
Yeah, but like I said, there was a television show in England called Z Cars. You remember that?
That one I'm not familiar with.
I'm not sure whether that was a police drama or what, but of course they don't say Z for the last letter of the alphabet.
Right.
They say
That's
Z. Yeah, so it's if an American looked at the title, they would think Z Cars. No, it's pronounced Z Cars.
Right. That's like Palatoy's Action Force had a Z Force.
Yeah. And Ian said we always had the same issues with U.S. imports. Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
Because Ian says Z Cars had an awesome theme song. I've heard the theme song from it. The theme song from it is what makes me want to watch it, but I don't have it. I don't have access to it at all.
Yeah,
and whenever you read the things that I've read, basically going from Doctor Who, you start reading literature about that show that was produced in the UK, and it references all these other shows, and you're like, I don't know what this shit is, but I want to find out.
Yeah, Doctor Who is like a gateway drug for British television. People get hooked on that, and then they want to see what else is out there.
Even Monty Python was a British television show.
Yep, and that's another one that I probably watched when I was too young.
Who could forget being a kid in the 1970s and staying up far too late and getting the TV down low so the parents didn't know you were watching it and watching Benny Hill?
Oh yeah, that's a good theme song too. Man, he did some great skits.
Yakety sax, and he's running around. One of my favorites was when they were being Robin Hood. Did you remember that one when they were being Robin Hood, and the sheriff of Nottingham was chasing Benny Hill, and he was Robin Hood, right? And the old man was standing there, and he was Friar Tuck, and he had his frock on, and Robin Hood was looking for a place to hide, and so Friar Tuck pulled up his frock. Robin Hood hid under the tuck, the frock, and then here comes the sheriff looking for him. And meanwhile, you know that Benny Hill's down there underneath that frock, and Friar Tuck starting to look like this right here, like what's going on under his frock? And he finally pulls the frock up. And Benny Hill's lit a cigarette under there.
Yeah, the little old man was great. I love how he'd pat his head. They
Oh
were
yeah.
doing skits.
Well, they were firemen one time, and the little old man was one of the firemen, and they all jumped on the fire truck to go to the fire brigade. Is what they were.
Yep.
They jumped on the fire brigade truck, and they were going to the fire, and they all had to stop, and they all ran behind the bushes to take a piss, and then they came, got back on the fire truck, and rolled off back to the fire. Ian
Now
Sweeney
there's
talking
one.
about a much lesser known children's show called Super Grand, an awful show, but you should YouTube the same song. Well, that kind of reminds me of then of Warzel Grummage. Do you know who Warzel Grummage is? He's played by
Yeah.
John Pertwee. He's a scarecrow.
Yep. That I've seen. And Blue Peter, which was an
Blue Peter.
kind of
Now,
a
I've
kid's
seen
show.
a few episodes of Blue Peter. Blue Peter was kind of like Mr. Rogers and stuff
A
like
little
that in
bit.
a way. But one of the hosts of Blue Peter actually was on Doctor Who himself. Peter Purvis was one of the hosts of Blue Peter, but he actually played a character, one of the companions of the Doctor on Doctor Who as well.
Oh, really? Now, Robin of Sherwood, was that the one that was a comedy?
Yeah, I think it
I
was.
remember that.
And absolutely killer soundtrack too. Okay. I watched Car 54 Where Are You last year and got legitimate laughs from it. Fred Gowan, Al Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
Good going from those show. Yeah, the original Car 54. I think they tried to do a remake of that was awful.
Right. And that's where those two hooked up first before the Munsters.
That's right. They were on Car 54 Where Are You long before the Munsters.
Yeah. Because that's one of those where I watched the Munsters and then somebody told me about Car 54 and then I went and
No,
saw
says Ian Sweeney,
those.
it's not a comedy. Okay, so maybe Maid Marian and her Merry Men was the comedy show.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I remember the comedy one. That was good. But yeah, there's been a couple different Robin TV shows over the years. Some good, some meh.
Some bad, some mediocre. Yeah. I actually liked the Kevin Costner movie that they did back. Did you not like that?
Well, Kevin Costner cannot do an English accent to save his life.
Oh,
I really,
no.
it wasn't a
But I
bad
like,
movie, but I
I
couldn't
like
get
Morgan
over.
Freeman.
Yes, I just couldn't get over Kevin Costner trying to play a Brit. It just didn't.
Now, the Robin of Sherwood show that he's talking about also had Saracen in it, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've seen a few episodes of that. That's a recent, in my opinion, recent for my age, recent.
Right.
Trope.
There've been several that I've watched Robin Hood from Errol Flynn all the way up to Russell Crowe.
Right.
And
now
several of them I really
we know
enjoyed.
that the original Robin Hood stories never included a Saracen, but that seems to be a new trope, is to have a Saracen or black person, whatever, to become a member of Robin Hood's Merry Men. Which, no, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying it's a recent thing.
Well, and it kind of makes sense if they're coming back from the Crusades that they would
right
have had interaction like that. Clannad, great music. I did not know they did the soundtrack.
Eldar's here. Hello there. How are we all doing? Eldar, good you showed up because I got a question for you. Are you doing your first live stream? If so, when? Let us know.
Mm-hmm.
And Dino says, or should try R2, Rolando. Okay.
R2. Yeah, Rolando's definitely going out doing the toy hunts. I'm seeing him on Instagram showing what he's finding in the stores. So
I've got some video. I just downloaded them off my phone right before I started the stream today. I haven't even looked at it. It's raw video of the Black Friday toy hunt that I did with my daughter. And I made a grave mistake.
You gave her your credit card?
No, I put the camera in her hands.
Oh, she's not a cinematographer?
Well, she has a very short attention span. And instead of following me around and doing my normal toy hunt where I go through the toys and show everything on the shelf, she started darting around the store because things would get her attention, and she'd dart away from me with the camera in her hand to go look at something else. And I don't know what actually got filmed and what didn't. At one point, I just gave up and just started looking for toys and just didn't even try. And
You
when we
might be
got,
able to salvage something in the edit.
I'm hoping I can get something out of the edits on that. But I did tell her when we got back in the car, I said, "You're fired."
It reminds me of the dog from that cartoon movie Up, where he's like, "Squirrel, quit!" Always looking for a squirrel.
Yeah. Dogs are notorious for being short-minded like that, which brings up another thing. Cosmo the space dog. You got to watch the new Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas
I,
special.
I don't do Disney Plus, but I will find a way to watch it.
Well, there's there's ways of watching it.
Arr.
Maybe you'll have to get in a boat.
Indeed.
Oh yes, I did that this morning, but I managed to muddle through. I'll have to catch the replay of that. I hope you left it up there, Eldar.
I'm curious when Eldar is when he's not in Eternia, what kind of television shows did he enjoy in New Zealand? Because I'm imagining he get a lot of the
Well, you
same
have
British
to understand now.
shows.
If I'm not mistaken, his little corner of Eternia is New Zealand.
So he can get at least television reception there.
I think he can. So that's a good question there, Eldar. Maybe you can answer, Largo. And Dino says you need to release that toy hunt video. I've got to edit it first, Dino. I just now downloaded it off the phone.
No, so, I think he wants to see her wild goose chase through Black Friday.
Well, yeah, I might have to release it in several versions, maybe, or parts. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of things that she finds interesting, I don't. So that may be worthwhile. Now she likes some of the girler stuff as well as the alien. Now she's big on aliens. I know you all know that. Aliens is her favorite, one of her favorite franchises, which is why she ended up with my Xenozilla. Yeah, my Xenozilla, the one that was made specially for me, is now hers. And that's
that just means you have an excuse to get an upgrade.
That's true, and I think Rolo said he's working on that. Ben Stutley says I was watching Robin of Sherwood at the same time I was into Castle Lego.
Oh yeah,
the other, yeah, true. I had a Lego. Well, actually, Sarah had a Lego castle
because Lego did the. I can't remember what they called them. They were the Merry Men, but they didn't call them that. They had another name for them. But yeah, you could do Robin Hood with the Lego guys.
I have ways of watching my movies.
We have our ways, indeed.
And Dino says, am I the only one that didn't like the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special? I may need to give it another watch, but I really did not like it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Right
so
now, right now, you are one of the very few that did not like it. I liked it. It evoked old 70s holiday show memories.
Now, speaking of old holiday specials that didn't age well, what's your opinion of the Star Wars holiday special, the infamous holiday special? Are you
asking me or Dino?
I'm asking anybody who wants to respond.
Well, you I don't know if you know this or not. I think you should know this if you know me well enough. Every year, I subject my family to the Star Wars holiday special.
I have heard that rumor.
That they are forced to go. Now, so there's several shows that we watch religiously over the holidays. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
That's a classic.
Santa Claus.
Which one?
Santa Claus. Very Mexican show, Santa Claus.
Okay.
And the Star Wars holiday special.
Now, is there? I was going to say,
in that order.
Do you provide alcohol with the showing?
I don't drink personally, but if you choose to drink, that's up to you.
I think it does enhance the experience. but that's
I
just
would
my
imagine
personal
so.
opinion.
Back in the day, I did. I used to be a drinking man. I quit drinking a few years ago for various reasons, mostly healthful. But
Mhm.
I still like to drink eggnog, but I drink the non-alcoholic kind that's made for kiddies that you can buy in the dairy section of the store.
I
Uh,
might lose my residency if I tried to drink eggnog without rum, because rum is important here.
yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine, but I don't imbibe anymore. But I can imagine that imbibing would greatly enhance watching
Whew.
these horrid episodes of crap. Dino says the Star Wars Holiday Special is great and horrible, all in one, very 70s and fun.
Yep.
Much agreed. I agree with
Some
you.
parts of it were better than others. I'll say that.
Yes. Well, the Nelvana cartoon was the highlight of the thing.
Indeed.
One of the hoots of the whole thing was minutes upon minutes upon minutes upon minutes upon minutes upon minutes of Wookiee dialogue. The no subtitles, just Wookiees. And
Oh yes. Happy Life Day, indeed.
hand
Oof.
is hand is suspiciously out of shot.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher sings in that. It's awful. Luke Skywalker shows up. Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker shows up with far too much eyeshadow on his eyes.
Now,
It's hilarious.
as far as cameos go, I'd say one of my favorites is the Muppet Show episode where R2D2 and Luke
Yeah, I
Skywalker.
remember that one. I don't even know if that one's available on Disney Plus or not. You know, all the Muppet Show episodes are available on there, but they've all been altered in some form or fashion, which angers me greatly.
Right.
Will McLaughlin says, I didn't like it, but I understand it was made as an homage to the old holiday specials. Yes, it was. I never saw any of those, so it was lost on me. Yeah, I think Bob Hope was the one that always put out a holiday special every freaking year.
Bing Crosby, I think,
Bing
did that.
Crosby did the same thing, and
Yeah.
they were mostly musical, which is one
Mhm.
of the reasons why you have so much music going on in the holiday special for the Guardians of the Galaxy. There would be a music star. There would be some popular person from the movies or television would show up, and it was usually in set in the character's home, Bob's house,
Right.
or Bing's house, and the doorbell would ring, and he'd open the door, and who it's
Yeah.
such and
It's Robert
such, and they
Goulier.
would come in, and they would. If they were a popular music star, they would play whatever their popular tune was at that time, and that kind of crowd. But yeah, that's what it was, and it just was, and we kind of looked forward to that during the holiday season, was watching several of these. Who else did those things?
I think Donnie and Marie and
Yeah, I mean,
didn't
everybody
Sonny
did
and
them.
Cher do a
There
Christmas
was some
special?
there was somebody that was known for it every freaking year, and I can't.
Hmm.
His name escapes me right now, but if you heard it, you'd say, "Oh yeah."
More than likely.
But yes, I still need to learn a bit more about doing these live shows, sir. I can tell you, if you watch the progression of this show, it started out as a clown show and it stayed that way.
Now I'm curious. We've been talking a lot about UK television. For me, one of the big holiday specials recently has been the Doctor Who Christmas special that they did for several
Every year,
years.
well, Russell T Davies started that because he wanted a Doctor Who Christmas special. As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, if you go back and watch interviews with him from back at that time, he said he wanted it to be very Christmas with Santa Claus, Christmas
Yeah,
trees, all that. And yeah, every year for a long time, that was the deal. Was there was
the tradition.
always going to be a Doctor Who Christmas special up
Hmm.
until recently when they decided
Right.
it couldn't be a Christmas special anymore, and
Not
they
politically correct for
New
some reason.
Year's or some mess. I don't
But
know.
there's always Christmas specials in the UK, but they're very different from what we get over here. I'm kind
Yeah,
of
and
curious.
UK Christmas has got some traditions that Americans are kind of lost on, like Christmas crackers, where you pop the cracker open and you read
Sure,
the fortune or whatever that's in it, and it
get the funny hat.
a funny hat, and you have to wear the hat the rest of the day after that. Dino says you should never watch the holiday special, Star Wars holiday special, unless you're drunk.
I would agree.
And he actually liked the Richard Pryor Cantina show.
Yeah, there were a lot of those variety shows that came and went, but it doesn't seem like we have any of those anymore. Those were fun, especially when they do little comedy skits and little music, little razzle dazzle.
Ben Stutley says Jim Largo holiday special pluses: costume leftovers, Boba cartoon, B.
Right.
Arthur, yeah.
I forgot about B.
Ouch.
Yeah. Ouch,
And,
indeed.
And he says the Groot was weird. Yes, the Groot was a man in costume. I think that was purposeful. I think they did that on purpose.
Just to add a little cheese.
Yeah, to add a little cheese to make it more like what a holiday special would be like, because the special effects in the holiday special were like really shit compared to the actual movie. Yeah. And Eldor says, but boy, what a rush getting the old Camo Con figures for me and another fellow with all the issues I had there. Well, good.
Yeah,
Did you actually get them ordered? I'll let a cat out of the bag. I was talking with Motu Joneser today by Instagram DMs, and I was getting some information from him about something so that I could give someone a present. Jim knows what I'm talking about. If you're a Patreon on mine, you would too. But
now, I've heard a lot of static about Mattel Creations and the way they've been doing.
Well,
some of these
Grindhead Jim put one of his epic rants on today. I watched a little bit of it at work. I've been meaning to watch the rest of it now that I'm home, but here I am instead. But yes, I will watch that. I don't think he even tried to order it. Well, I'll tell you this.
No.
Motu Joneser got 2 of them, and he's giving me one for Christmas.
Very cool.
So thank you.
Joneser's on top of it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. My Mrs. Weird Fantastic Toys is at work, but she's checking in. Hey, baby, how's it going?
She's watching you.
Yeah, she's always somewhere lurking, but I'm glad to see
she's got that rolling pin handy, so be careful.
Yeah, if you get a chance, go up and hit the like button before you leave, babe. Appreciate you stopping by. And Master Versal, we said that. Geek Strong, Dino says, yes, I was thinking of the Star Wars Muppet Show. Yeah, we were talking about that just a minute ago. That was good. I remember that. I remember watching that. The Muppet Show was syndicated too, and it came on in the afternoons, on like Sunday afternoon.
In some areas, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved the Pigs in Space, a little episode they did when the Star Wars cameos, where Gonzo was Darth Vader.
Yeah, we got Ian chickens up after 1 a.m. over there in the UK. Grief. And
he's a trooper for hanging in as long as he has.
I swear, and Ben Stutley is saying good night to him. And Eldor says, my preset credit card details I've had since the first $1 sale there vanished off my account there. So I had to fill. Yeah. That's not just you, brother. That's not just you. That's everybody across the board. That's one of the gripes I've got with Mattel Creations is the fact that you can't create an account that stays on there, so that, like, for instance, Amazon. When I go to Amazon and I order, it's a click, put it in the cart, click, buy it.
Right.
Over there, you've got to put all your shit in all over again every single time. You've got to go through the robo-check every single time. And that's why most people miss out on it, because by the time they get through jumping through all the hoops and the dog and the pony show, the damn thing's sold out when they finally get through with all of that.
Oh, Geekstrong says that if you get the DVDs of the Muppets, they do have the Star Wars special on there.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. Paul likes the Pigs in Space.
Yeah, I do too.
Pigs in Space is funny as hell. As a matter of fact, I've got the Pigs in Space.
The Stars, was it the Swine Trek?
The Swine Trek Bridge playset, which has got Cybermen on it. And I took the above their head was the big oval projector or whatever, the thing. and I've got the Ark in Space is floating in that. So
Oh,
that
cool.
kind of
I
made
bought
it
it to go with Flash because I thought
Flash Gordon.
it was
It'll go
very
with just about any sci-fi you want because it's got knobs and levers and switches all over the place, and you can move the
exactly.
levers on it.
It's cool.
Geek Strong, Dino says I have the Muppet box sets on DVD, and it has the Star Wars episodes. Yes, and
Excellent.
he has that Pigs in Space playset as well. Yeah, that and the other one that I always wanted to get but I didn't get was the lab for
Beaker and Honeydew, or
Dr. Honeydew and Beaker's
right?
lab. They did that set too.
Yeah, I wish I'd picked that up. That'd be
Yeah,
great for
awesome.
a mad scientist.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I got confirmation that the Jada Toys Wolfman and Invisible Man should be dropping soon.
Oh, cool. I've seen pictures of those. Those looked awesome.
I have the first run they did, which was Bride of Frankenstein, the Frankenstein's monster, the Dracula, and the creature from the Black Lagoon, and I really like those.
All right. Jordell Fresh Breeze says I was planning on getting a CamelCon until they announced the price, $50 shipped to the UK.
Ouch!
I can't really justify that much. Toys are getting
Mm-mm.
to the point where they're almost too expensive to collect, aren't they?
Some of them, because that one's just an Origins figure with a couple extra bits, right? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
super deluxe.
Well, the CamelCon, the only difference is the head, from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the different head on it. It made the paint job made camo. I don't know. It looked the same to me except for the head, and it's a deluxe figure, so it comes with a Zodak gun and a mace, and two heads. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
getting
seems a little
one. I mean,
overpriced.
I wasn't planning on getting it. The one I'm more interested in is the Frogmonger.
I don't know that character.
Well, that's an interesting character. It hasn't released yet, but it may be releasing soon. We know there's one coming out on the 14th of December. We don't know what it is, and I'm hoping that it's Frogmonger. And I'd like to get a Frogmonger, my man. It's a new character, in my opinion, but it's based upon a character that was hinted at even back in the old Castle Grayskull playset. If you
Oh,
look at the dungeon grate, which is known as the Dwell of Souls, you'll see very many creatures' hands and appendages kind of creeping out of that jail cell there, and one of them is a frog-like creature. You can see his face and his arms. That
ah,
is the Frogmonger, and the Frogmonger has been created into a figure for the Origins line that will be released through Mattel Creations. And see, I'm more about that kind of stuff now at this point. The new characters or something that looks like something like I would do here in my customization.
okay. Yeah, Maniac Plastic Toy Shop saying that if you look on the box art for the Origins Wind Raider, you'll see the Frogmonger.
The Frogmonger, yeah, he is. He's on the side art. I think it's on the side. You know, the two sides, and
Mm-hmm.
he's there. He's correct. And Paula was talking about that the Dr. Honeydew's lab set. She wishes she had that as well.
Yeah, that would
And
be cool.
Dino's got to go. Had a great time. Well, we'll see you there, Dino. Glad you stopped in today. Make sure you hit the like on the way out. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's always fun hanging with you guys in the chat.
And Eldor says one fellow here did not know about the whole sold out glitch. So he thought they had sold out and he never knew to hit refresh there, sadly, and he missed out. Well, that's sad.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Hasbro Pulse. If you try to get some of their Marvel Legends or
Oh, well, look at there.
classified stuff.
His wife's got a birthday today as well. So your
Oh,
two wives both have the same birthday.
no kidding.
That's
Well,
weird.
tell her we said happy birthday.
Well, yeah, say happy birthday to me as well. So take it easy, Will. Glad you stopped in. And let's see, Eldor says, so we asked around for him to see if anyone had any spare camo cons. Well, I think they were limited to two. Two per purchaser, I think is the way it was done. It was done like the original $1 sale was, and the original Triclops and all that
Grizzlor.
shit. Grizzlor, all that. But stay tuned, fellas. Stay tuned. If the character is that popular, they'll do
They
a
may
made
bring
for
it back.
order. Yeah, they'll bring it back. They'll do a made for order if you really, really, really want it.
Oh, wow.
And it was my granddad's 95th birthday today, so we had a great feast for him. That's good. Good deal. Good deal there, Eldar. Well, Largo, it's been 2 hours and 45 minutes exactly as I said that. If you want to hang around, we certainly can. We still have about 8 people here in the chat hooping it out with us, listening to us just chatter on about all kinds of different stuff. I can certainly stay up a little while longer. It's 7:06 here where I am, but I do have to go to bed at 8 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Now I got a mosey. My wife's giving me the signal here on the off screen.
All right. Well, Ben Stutley says, I don't know what you guys think, but everything Anglo-American around 1980 is probably my favorite period. Muppet Show, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, a great time to collaborate. It actually was. It was a great time. And Manic Plastic says, what did you guys think about the Iron Man 4 trailer? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it.
I think it's the Ironheart Iron Man, if I'm not mistaken. So we may
I'll be right back, Bill. Let me see what's going on out here.
Yeah. Largo's probably going to have to head out, and I'm probably going to have to as well. Well, Michael, tell us what you thought about it. First of all, I haven't seen it yet. Is it what I think? Is it the Ironheart Iron Man? I know that that's coming, and I know what happened in the comic books, and I wasn't impressed. So it may be more than that. And I'll be hitting my bed now, as I was up all night till 6 a.m. in the morning here. I've only got 2 hours of sleep before that birthday bash. Well, Eldor, you need to get your rest too, my friend. And if you need to head on to bed, then you do it. And I certainly do understand. And I've had days like the one you just had. And when it's time to crash, it's time to crash. And it's going to be time to crash here in the Weird Fantastic household here pretty soon. And it looks like I'm right. That's what it looks like. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is there, Michael. Talking about Iron Man. But I saw you were still live there. And yes, I thought I would say hello. Well, glad you stopped by there, Eldor, but you don't have to stay on my account. I'm not going to stay up too much longer either. Great stream, guys. I'll try to catch you start next time. All the best in the chat, too. All right, you take care, Ben Stutley.
She's just asking me what I wanted for dinner.
Oh, well, you better answer that.
Yes, sir.
What you want. Most folks are getting ready to head out. Eldor's had a long day. Mrs. Weird's got to get her little self back to work, too. So everybody's kind of heading out, and we're starting to wind down. I know you've got things to do. I've got to start getting ready for bed. I want to try to watch Grindhead Jim's stream.
Right.
Show that he did earlier today about the Mattel creations and the CamoCon. So I want to see what he had to say. And
okay.
Versal's going to bed too. He's been up. He hadn't had but 2 hours of sleep. You know, he's an old man too. He needs to get his rest. But I'm glad you showed up today, Largo. It's always great to have you on the show. And
thanks,
it's always
Bill.
great to have everybody that was here. Y'all have a great night. And remember, together we shall triumph. And I'll see you all next time. Special thanks to these supporters on Patreon. Without your help, these adventures would not be possible. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like and subscribe and share the video.